It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The San Francisco 49ers are sending second, third, and fourth round picks in 2023 and a fifth round pick in 2024 to the Carolina Panthers for star running back Christian McCaffrey. Linebackers Zach Cunningham and Joe Jones did not practice for the second straight day on Thursday. Fullback Torrey Carter also did not participate. Nate Davis remained limited. However, Bud Dupree and Amani Hooker a full go Thursday. Colts, Titans, noon kickoff, Nissan Stadium. League Company countdown to kickoff begins at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Homecoming on Rocky Top. UT Martin travels to number 3 Tennessee. 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. Vol Network coverage begins at 9. And the Preds surrendered 4 third-period goals and lost to the Blue Jackets in Columbus 5-3. Nashville winless in its last 4 games. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home of the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very good Friday morning to you in Nashville, Tennessee, where Christian McCaffrey is on the move. The Tennessee Titans get ready to break out the brooms against the Indianapolis Colts. And the Tennessee Volunteers, the third-ranked team in all the land, get ready for homecoming in Summit Blue uniforms on Rocky Top. Alongside 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Jonathan Schaefer is our producer, and he's a good one.
The best producer in the world!
Because many say that about him, that he is the best producer in the world. My name is Will Bowling. We are Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. It's Friday, and we plan on acting like it. Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Morning, Will. Shafe just goes off of my headphones again. He does that to y'all, too? Just
Occasionally.
Yeah,
I think it's
okay.
mainly you.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? It's rightfully so this time, too.
The problem is Jonathan Schaefer says a lot of things to us during this show that don't go over the air.
Yeah.
But with this new studio and the quality of the sound coming into our headphones, it sounds like it is.
Right.
So it keeps our heads on a constant swivel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened yesterday, the article came out, right?
What
with
article?
All of us.
What
It was
article are we talking
Barrett
about?
Sports Media.
Oh, yes.
Wrote an article. Dude interviewed me like sometimes last week. And I shouted out everybody in the article.
Oh, no.
Except
Except the best producer in the world.
The best producer in the world!
Of the world, Craig.
Oh, the world, man. And I was just like, and I thought about it instantly as soon as I hung up the phone. So I was like, God. But he didn't ask me. And I was just like, okay, I feel like crap. I'm going to be real.
Jonathan Schaefer, your
I
thoughts.
feel like crap.
I don't care.
I know he don't care, but I like, Shafe's like.
Sounds like you care.
He's been like my media mentor.
I feel like, if I were you, I would feel a little bad.
Yeah, I do feel bad. I do. Because I'm like, I always push off all the credit. They asked me about you two, and I was like, of course I was going. And I went way longer than I probably should have gone in that interview.
They didn't use the one quote I thought they should use for Will in that article.
What was
where,
that?
What
Where
was
you
that?
said this about Will.
There's only one phenom.
Oh, wow. That's very kind. Very kind.
Well, we got to keep him here for some time, right? But afterwards, I was like, Moan, call him back and say something. I was like, oh, it'll be okay.
Freaking bum.
I know, man. Like, you know, you giving all your thank yous to everybody. It was my Oscar speech.
Yep.
And I was just like,
But did you warn Schaefer before the article came out?
because I forgotten.
That's
I forgot.
that's the fail
I
right
forgot.
there.
It was.
I'm hearing at least 2 demerits in this
But-
conversation, Jonathan Schaefer.
Yes, I'm starting off Friday back.
That is a demerit.
Yeah.
One more.
That is a demerit.
There you go.
But it was more or less just like I was speaking about us, all of us.
No, you weren't.
I was.
Yeah. Didn't mention me.
See, I know it.
All of us in this room.
I
So
know it.
Not in that room.
here's my take.
I can't even look at shit.
Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning.
Morning, Kayla.
I worked in TV. I still work in TV. What am I talking about? I do everything.
Yeah, you do.
But when you look at all the things that go behind the scenes in TV, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, we do a lot of it ourselves, too, in sports.
Yeah.
We're a one-man band a lot of the time. But it can't go on without the production, without the director. So my thing always in local sports has always been, I actually appreciate them sometimes more than I appreciate any of the talent.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones making it all happen in the end.
Yep.
So, in that case, not trying to make you feel bad. But now you lived and you learned.
I
And
I'm
in the
trying to
future,
make you
you'll
feel
know.
bad.
it never happened again.
I'm actively trying to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Freaking bum.
Yeah, you got feeling it. Because I'm like, because they asked me about y'all to end the show, and I was just like, I should have said
You
it.
get zoned in.
Yeah, I zoned in, and I was just like, I know I'm going to hear it. I know I was going to hear it this morning, too. That's how I was just like, I can't even look over my shoulder at Shafe right now, KK. That's where I'm at.
I know, right?
How we going to do this show?
Well, at BSM staff, if you want to check out the article, Bear Sports Media, Ramon Foster with very kind words for myself and Kayla, and kind words right now for Jonathan Schaefer.
Well, Shafe knows his position with me, though.
That's why he's the best producer in the world. Oh, that is
And there
that's
again,
swag right there.
there's new recordings for the people. I thought that was just Kayla talking right now. Then I looked
That's
up
why
and
he's the best
realized it wasn't.
producer in the world.
That's
right.
right. I looked at her, and it's like her mouth's not moving right now.
Sneaky Schaefer back there.
Always lurking in the
That's
shadows.
another one. I didn't know if you were talking, but you were just then.
Yeah.
Shafe, you got too much power, man.
That's why he's the best
Way too
producer
much
in the
power.
world.
615-737-1045 if you want to talk to the best producer in the world and talk to us. Christian McCaffrey is on the move, and it's not the multiple firsts that the Carolina Panthers reportedly wanted. But they do get quite a haul for one of the best running backs in the NFL, a 2023 second, third, and fourth, and a 2024 fifth-round pick. Off to the Shanahan scheme goes Christian McCaffrey. And all of a sudden, the 49ers are the favorite in the NFC West.
They should be with that type of star power.
I mean, they may have already been, but
Yeah.
That division's a mess, though.
What's that?
It is a mess.
It is a mess. I'll say this before y'all go on any further. I didn't know running backs were that valuable still. They give up a lot for Christian McCaffrey for a guy that has a very heavy salary, too. Like, they got Debo, him, Garoppolo, Trent. Like, they got so many guys.
and Carolina's going to have the first pick in the draft.
Yes.
too.
I believe I heard that the Niners had to pay about $650,000 this year.
$690 to be exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the next year it goes up to like 12 mil, right?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
Tom Pelissero noted this yesterday that McCaffrey is on the books for $12 million in 2023 and 2024, $12.2 million in 2025, and just $1 million guaranteed for injury.
Oh, God.
For injury. Let's talk about the little elephant
Yeah,
in the
that's right.
room, shall we?
Go ahead. Let's talk about that injury.
Look, Christian McCaffrey, no doubt, great running back, actually coming off a really good game. But when you're the 49ers, to me, that move is because, okay, that's the Shanahan way of doing things. Like Will said earlier before we even got on air,
Right.
you know, he relies a lot on the run game. It's also something where things haven't gone their way because Trey Lance was hurt earlier on, so he couldn't really utilize that. So he's using Jimmy G, I guess, you know, as much as he can. Jimmy
Yeah.
G is not a quarterback that you can rely on taking you down and winning in those situations like down the stretch. I don't feel like he's the guy. But if you surround him with a whole bunch of guys that can do that, possibly you guys can go far as a team. But the biggest thing is the injuries with McCaffrey. I just have never been an injury person when it comes to rolling the dice.
Yeah.
I'll roll the dice once in a while, but his pattern is becoming more and more obvious that he cannot stay healthy for a season.
Yeah, and to your point, Kayla, it's more or less like they're trying to make Jimmy G bulletproof when it comes down to
Yes.
his play. And I didn't think he was that bad. And then you watch him, you're like, okay, that ball shouldn't have sailed over that receiver's head. That was a bad interception. Why did you run out of bounds and it's -6 yards now? Like, he does those types of things. And what's wild is they have so many dynamic weapons to where he should be bulletproof in the sense of Kittle, you got your security blanket right there, and a blocker when it comes down to the run game. Christian McCaffrey now, okay, say what you want to win. He's healthy.
Yeah.
He was up for what, the league MVP, about, was it 2 years ago before he got injured?
Is that 2 years?
2019.
Yeah,
2019.
2 years ago.
Like, he was really
Because
crushing it, man.
that was the year he had 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing.
So you look at the blueprint that the Rams laid out. I don't think they're in that realm anymore this year, unless something drastically changes. But they got a tight end. They got a running back, 2 running backs with Debo, wide receiver and Debo. They got
tight end can't stay healthy either, though.
well, that's the other thing, too, is Kittle. Like, he is by far, I think if we're ranking tight ends athletically, playmaking ability, you probably go with Kittle.
At full health, I think he's number one.
Like Kelsey, biggest thing with him, healthy. And the quarterback is super friendly when it comes down to getting him the ball in those open spaces. Like, Kittle works for his. It's like, golly, you play super hard.
Yep.
But solid OL defense to me. D'Amico Ryans is a guy.
And this is his last year there.
D'Amico.
There's no doubt.
Yeah,
He's a head
100%.
coach somewhere next year.
He's crushing it, man. But he's a guy that really has that defense doing really good. Matter of fact, the number 2 ranked defense in the league is how good they are.
Yep.
So
No doubt about that one.
steady run game, get it going. If Kayla, he said, isn't he a West Coast kid or a Denver kid?
He went to Stanford.
He went to Stanford. That's what I'm saying.
He
So
sure did.
maybe going back to the Bay will be good for him.
San Francisco is closer, or that stadium is really in Palo Alto.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's like right next to Stanford. It's like one interstate exit over from
We
Stanford.
passed it. Yeah. Crazy.
Beautiful stadium. But at this point, Carolina, though, on the other end of this conversation, has their own first, second, fourth, and fifth round picks, and then now has the second, third, and fourth round picks for San Francisco. They own 7 total draft picks, all of them coming before the 6th round. They're going to have plenty of opportunities to add to that quarterback room with Matt Corral.
Do you trust him to actually do right by this?
No, absolutely not. I don't trust anything David Tepper touches until it turns into something that is remotely close to success.
He does not know how to handle toys. Nice toys.
He is
Can't have him.
in the new race for the bottom of worst owner in the NFL.
Sheesh, that's
The way he goes after reporters at press conferences these past few, I mean, that guy knows he's
that guy?
he's fighting a little bit. Oh gosh, it looked bad.
He's that dude, man.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you got into a rock fight with Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Over the facility.
That whole thing, it's
midway through the build.
so we'll see. They've got a lot of draft picks. It's hard to mess up that many draft picks, but we'll see if David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers are able to do that.
This freaking clown.
615-737-1045. It is a Friday 5-day as we take a look at the 5 biggest storylines for each of us from different perspectives in the world of football coming up this weekend. Josh Ward of Sports Radio WNML out of Knoxville joins us at 7:20. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, at 8:20. And Jim Wyatt from TennesseeTitans.com at 9:20 as we get ready for Titans and Colts, but also take a look at Titans-Oilers Alumni Weekend as the franchise honors all the players that are back in town this weekend for a huge division matchup with Indianapolis. We preview that. We talk about some college football on a crazy week, by the way. Tons of ranked matchups, lots of big games tomorrow in the world of college football. We recap that. But we begin with Kayla Anderson's Friday 5 when we come back, taking a look at the 5 biggest storylines in the world of football. Kayla's in the football weekend, Ramon's in the NFL, mine in college football. It's going to be a loaded, busy show. Don't blink, you just might miss it. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
That's the Colts.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds, okay? And we talk all the time about diamond value and selections and designers. But I'm here to tell you that Genesis is the best place to go, especially if you do not know what you're into or what you're looking for, okay? Simply because they don't just have regular clerks behind the counter to help you. They aren't paid on commission. These are experts, okay, in the jewelry professional game that is going to allow you to pick what you need, whether it's a half a carat or whether it's up to 15 carats or more, potentially. Go to Genesis. They are located in Green Hills and in Cool Springs. Fellas, there's not a lot we know when it comes down to picking out the right gift, but I promise you, my people at Genesis Diamonds will get you exactly what you're looking for, the price that you want to. There will be no judgment. You'll be greeted with a smile. Listen, there's no pressure, no awkward moments, and nobody staring you down because they know you don't know what you don't know. Simply, go visit Genesis Diamonds in Green Hills and Cool Springs. And do not forget this also. They also have an expanded selection of Swiss watches, including the state's biggest collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex models you can't find anywhere else at Genesis Diamonds.
Well, let me clear my throat in the first hour of today's show. Friday edition. It's Friday. We're going to act like it on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors at 104.5 The Zone. Football league Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson with you as we take a look at the biggest storylines around the world of football. But first, Zach Cunningham did not practice again yesterday. Bud Dupree was a full participant. Amani Hooker, full participant at Titans practice. Joe Jones did not practice. And Nate Davis, who missed the Washington game because of a foot injury, was limited. Once again, Torrey Carter, added to the injury report dealing with a neck injury, was limited, wearing a yellow non-contact jersey. So still, this team is much healthier than the Colts going into this game.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Looking forward to it. Although we were just talking about on break, there's somebody in the city that doesn't care how good or bad the Colts are because they got somebody at quarterback.
His name is Ronald Sylvester Slay.
And the quarterback name is officially changed to what?
He calls him Nathaniel, right?
Nathaniel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Nathaniel.
Andy Dalton was looking like a Nathaniel last night as well.
Well, Andy
Thursday Night
Dalton
Football.
should have retired like 2 years ago.
We had
Let's be
touchdowns, though.
honest. He's trying to reinvent himself with the goatee, though.
He is.
I didn't even recognize it in his helmet.
So-
and then he took it off. I'm like, yeah, it is Andy Dalton.
The shot of him walking to the sideline as the San Francisco defensive back dove into the background of the. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
There's a camera shot of
You
as Andy
gotta
Dalton is
see
walking to the near
Okay.
sideline.
I did not see it.
In the background of the video, the guy who got the pick six is like somersaulting into the end zone.
That is awesome.
Like it is like cinematography.
That's great.
It's like the Snyder Cut or
It
something.
is by
Oh,
far.
my
Oh,
God.
so good.
Andy's running away in disgust, and this dude, his feet tucked behind his head.
Nice guy, but he's a nice guy.
Trying out for the Olympic gymnastics team back there.
But he's a nice guy. That's always the thing with people with Andy Dalton is people always say, like, but he's a nice guy.
No, man, this is bad
That's
right here.
That's really funny.
Yeah, you got to see like the still picture of him like tucking his legs behind his back. It is by far the best end zone dive in I think I've ever seen in football in my life.
Does anybody else feel like the Saints just went to being so irrelevant? I mean, we used to talk about the Saints all the time.
Yeah, we did.
And the minute that Drew Brees retired, it's just, I forget sometimes. I'm like, oh, yeah, the Saints are playing today. That's right.
It was really weird, the conversation they were having on pregame yesterday on Amazon Prime, because everything they said, and again, that crew, they do a good job, and they're going to figure it out, but they give you the company line of what they're told in production meetings a little bit stronger than I think a lot of other crews do. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to realize how to maybe not push that as hard.
Yeah.
Because the company line for New Orleans was, Andy Dalton has just stabilized this position, and he's not throwing interceptions, and he's not as erratic as Jameis. Like, it was, I kind of felt bad for Jameis Winston because you could tell that it was clearly like, hey, we're going to give this guy a chance to just be the starter.
He doesn't throw interceptions. He just throws back-to-back pick
He just
sixes.
throws back-to-back
So even
pick
better.
sixes, right.
But what's wild about the Saints is what, though? They actually, they were in cap hell, basically, with their roster.
were.
That's the thing, is
You
that it's
remember?
not just coaching. It's not just Drew Brees leaving, not just Dennis Allen taking over, but they put themselves in a bad cap situation.
Yeah,
and their
they
head
did.
coach bolted.
Yeah, I mean, what was he had something going on? Either he got fired or did he cop
He did
out
not
before?
get fired.
He did
copped
not get
out.
He
fired.
saw the writing on the wall of how poorly
He sure did.
constructed that roster was. And so my best friend Jerry Jones is over here and might need me here in a couple of years.
Well, but you also go back to the rumors of him and Brady in Miami and
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that
Miami
I
and
knew it was
Dallas
something that came
were the
up.
options.
Yeah.
Miami and Dallas were the options. So.
I hate that for New Orleans, though. That's a
Great
great
fan base.
football city,
is.
Oh, yeah.
great fan base.
Yep.
I've been to, what is it now? Is it still a Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah, that's still Mercedes-Benz.
Been to the
Superdome.
stadium. It's kind of unique in the way. It's pretty old,
Yeah.
but has a lot of character. And I like Jameis Winston, honestly.
Yeah.
I like Jameis Winston. Some people might not like him, but he's just one of those guys, too, that he'll never be able to be steady Eddie at that position.
No.
Just can't.
But this is also it's a bigger conversation behind what the Saints are going through too, because I feel like that's the same thing in that Carolina is also. Tampa will go through, New England. Like when you build your team around one guy and you don't draft properly, you miss out on draft picks, injuries happen, or you just bet it all and say, I'm going to pay this guy, and that guy too with a franchise quarterback, and then all of it falls apart at once. I was talking to somebody the other day about what happened in Pittsburgh with us. Like, I was just like, did my group stay around too long? And it was just as far as the O-line goes, because when I was done, after that year, everybody was done. And then you have the quarterback be done. And now you're faced with a position where it's like, well, maybe when do you start drafting guys to move guys out? Like, is that kind of where the Titans OL is a little bit too?
Well, but they actually drafted guys. They were actually in the process of drafting guys for when this happened. And unfortunately, Isaiah Wilson and right now Dylan Radins, who is a second rounder, they haven't worked out.
Yeah, that's fair.
The biggest thing
That's
there.
fair.
It's not like they weren't trying to draft for that position.
Titans are on the other end of the spectrum in the fact that they're not overpaying their draft picks to keep them on a second contract. They're not paying them at all.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a happy medium in this league, I feel like, especially nowadays.
And the Saints paid Tyrann Mathieu,
Correct.
which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's that guy anymore.
At the time, no, he waited to get signed also. So it was
That's right,
I think it was Kansas City again, Pittsburgh, and I think the Saints. And I don't know how real those bids were when it comes down to them. Yeah, Saints ended up playing the hometown stuff.
That is probably the most intertwined with one college football team fan base in the NFL.
LSU
and Saints fans are it's just the same fan base.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other fan base in this league that's like one college team's fan base, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's honestly just that one. Maybe the Dolphins. Nah, not really Dolphins, because they've got fans all over the place because of how good they were way back.
Yeah.
Dolphins, yeah.
I mean, I really think that's just it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. By the way, if you ever get a chance to go to a New Orleans Saints game on Halloween.
On Halloween? Really?
In the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
That's cool.
It is a party. You know they already have parties anyway with the way they just go about New Orleans lifestyle. Listen, we went in there it was Halloween night, my second year in the league. Hey, insane.
Popping.
Was there a ton of costumes?
Like they kept playing that yin yang song. Dun, dun, dun. Like it's by far, and it like the sound bounces off the roof from like top to bottom, and it was deafening. It was that big of a friggin' party inside us, and they beat us.
Yeah, I'm sure. Right. Yeah. Now that part was not so great.
Yeah, no, that wasn't great.
Let's go to the phone, 615-737-1045. John of the Borough with his check-in this morning. What's going on, John?
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Happy Friday. We fought, we scratched, we clawed, and we finally made it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I am your resident Saints fan. I've been a Saints fan my entire life. I'm old enough to have been a Saints fan before Tennessee even got the Titans. And, of course, with Memphis's history with the NFL, it kind of all stands to reason. Anyway, first off, it is Caesars Superdome, not the Mercedes Superbenz.
Oh, see, there we go.
But you're absolutely right. We have kind of fallen into irrelevancy. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Jameis played with a broken back for the first few games of the year this year. There's 4 different broken vertebrae in his back. How he's walking, I don't know. But they'll figure it out. They hired Dennis Allen for consistency. That defense does not look like the unit that it was last year, even though they added better pieces in Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu. It's kind of a weird time. We're just trying to hope that we don't have to break out the paper bags again.
Thank you, John.
I forgot about the paper bags.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, the paper bags. That's right.
Their success is based upon Miami Dolphins and Nick Saban not realizing what Drew Brees was.
Back when they were the Aints.
That's right.
Aints. Wow, boy, how the league moves around.
That is right. I mean, but yeah, people forget that Drew Brees and Sean Payton were the only good history that they've ever really had, other than Archie for like a cup of coffee.
Yeah, a couple of years there with Jim Mora.
Right.
That's right.
So it is a Friday 5-day here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We give you the 5 things to look for from 3 different perspectives in the world of football. And Kayla Anderson leads us off this morning.
Yeah.
With your 5 biggest storylines and conversations going on in the football world, NFL, collegiate, anything in between.
Yeah, and I was going through everything last night. I was a little surprised that I didn't have more NFL things to watch this weekend. I just don't think there's a lot of great games.
Great college football
Not a lot of
weekend.
great matchups.
Well, the one matchup of 2 winning teams is in Nashville on Sunday.
Well, that's why.
The only one.
That's why.
Yeah, I heard that.
One of them's in my
There you go.
top 5 here. Okay,
Perfect.
so I'm going to start off with number 5. I think this is big because we really haven't seen a lot of him this year, and his team's still been playing really well with the backup. So I want to see the return of Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Dak. I'm a fan of Dak, what he's gone through, the guy he is, and just the player he is, but unfortunately has dealt with injuries. We just haven't seen as much consistency from Dak because we know the talent he has. We know the respect he has of his teammates as well. But this is a Dallas Cowboys team that, they're doing well. They were 4-1 with Cooper Rush as the backup. I don't think anybody thought that would happen with a guy that we didn't know much about. And Dak is going to return. That's what everybody is saying. He said it himself. Coming back from that right thumb fracture, he looks good to go. And look, they're going against the 1-4 Lions. We know that the Lions give up the most points in the league. I think that Dak will have a grand return. Now, how he will keep healthy, how the season will progress, and what happens in the playoffs, that's the biggest thing moving forward with Dak and how he leads this team. But I'm excited to see Dak back.
Me too. I like what they got going on right now. It's hard to say that because I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about Cowboys fans as they do about Vols fans. As soon as they get popping, baby, you'll never hear the end of it. But I guess the best thing is they got a humbling team like the Philadelphia Eagles that bring them back down.
Yes.
I like it.
All right, number 4. I'm going with a Pac-12 matchup, baby.
There it is.
And I'm going with UCLA taking on Oregon, a chance for the Bruins. Kyle Phillips Bruins to stay undefeated in the Pac-12 and give them a shot at possibly getting into the college football playoff because that is a battle.
Yep.
And the Pac-12 has not done a good job with, their teams and getting a spot in the playoff. And when they do, they get pretty much pummeled. And so this UCLA team, I will give Chip Kelly a lot of credit. It has taken time.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think Chip Kelly possibly would last there because it was so bad. And this year, they have come out and shown that they're a legit team to contend with. And USC suffered its first loss last week against Utah. So this opens the door for UCLA a little bit more. And the biggest thing I love it. Chip Kelly returns to Oregon, a place where he had so much success, where he became Chip Kelly. And so it'll be fun to see that storyline. Keep your eye on Zach Charbonnet for the UCLA Bruins. First of all, Charbonnet, what a name.
What a name.
I want to always drink a glass of Chardonnay after I say his name, but he is a baller. I know
Pace
we'll
yourself,
probably talk.
6:36.
Yeah, we'll talk more about him later. So that is my number 4 to watch.
And with that, Chip Kelly, like he's a Dennis Dixon away from potentially
that's a
Heisman and national championship. Like that's where he was.
Yeah.
I
That is
think
a
Chip
throwback,
needs
man.
credit as far as changing the way you look at the way college football was like looked at and played and styled too,
Oh, yeah.
Jeremiah Masoli.
Oh my God.
Back in the day, that LeGarrette Blunt game against Boise State where he hit the guy.
Oh no, drop that guy.
Yeah, he did
okay,
drop
all
that guy.
right. Say it
yeah.
correctly, Will. We're past that point.
That's right.
Okay, number 3. Here we go. We're going to the Big 12, folks, and we're going to keep our eye on Texas and Oklahoma State. So the the Cowboys, pardon me on that, had a 3-point loss. Had a
Demerit.
it's still 6:37. Had a 3-point loss to Coach Max Frogs. We know what the Frogs are doing. That's a really good team, you guys. We've seen them just week by week get better. So I'm not going to say that loss to TCU was awful. It was by 3 points. Quinn Ewers, we saw him in his first game back. He looked really, really good. I'm interested to see how he progresses and if he can get Texas back in that Big 12 race, because that's how good I think he could be.
Yeah. And by the way, Texas is favored by 6 points in this game, too.
Yeah.
This is the other side. If Oklahoma State goes out and beat them, like, they continually push themselves up as far as the CFP goes, too, the college football playoffs. Like, this is a huge matchup. But on the other side of it is how much steam can Texas gain to get back into that grace, because their biggest thing was they lost Quinn. Like, the Alabama game was big time for them.
No doubt. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we finish up Kayla Anderson's Friday Five of the biggest storylines in the world of professional or college football. And Amon Foster provides his Friday Five, the 5 NFL games he's most interested in going into the weekend. The phone number is 615-737-1045 on the Friday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Jonathan Schaefer for Lee Company. And you know, one thing that is definitely true in the Middle Tennessee area, the weather can be very unpredictable. It can have snow flurries one morning, and then a couple days later, it can be in the mid-70s and very pleasant. There's no off-season when it comes to home maintenance. Make sure your home is ready for the next storm or heat wave or cold snap with the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan. Sign up today, and for less than $9 per month, their expert technicians will come out 4 times a year to take care of your cooling, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. And heating, very important right now. Again, another chilly morning here in Nashville. Learn more at leecompany.com. You can also give them a call, 615-567-1000. Again, the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan, less than $9 per month for those 4 visits for those 4 very important aspects of your home: your cooling system, heating system, plumbing, and electrical system. LeeCompany.com, 615-567-1000. Lee Company, all you need.
Friday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Josh Ward joins us in hour 2 as we talk about Tennessee and UT Martin, where the Vols go next after a big win over Alabama. And if they got goalposts in the new stadium, I think I saw them in there. Dusted off from a basement of Neyland Stadium. They've been there since 1998, the last time the Vols tore them down. Will Boldick, Ramon Foster, and Kayla Anderson with you as Kayla continues her Friday Five on the biggest storylines in the football weekend. Number 2, Kayla.
Let's go. And you know how I like to tailor a little bit down here where we are in the South. So that's how I like to tailor my 2 and 1s.
I like it.
Just to keep the interest, right? You don't want to hear about the West Coast where I'm from. So I got to keep those relevant here. So at number 2, like Will had mentioned, it's the 2 teams with winning records right now going head to head.
Yeah.
The Titans and the Colts, round 2. Obviously, the Titans getting the win up in Indianapolis just 3 weeks ago. Coming off of that bye, what do we see with the Titans? We know the success that Mike Vrabel has had coming out of byes, 4-0 under head coach Mike Vrabel after that rest week. But the Colts coming off of a good game themselves, a better game, I should say, where we saw some more from Matt Ryan, a.k.a. Nathaniel.
Nathan.
So I'm interested to see the game plan for this when it comes to what the Colts are going to do in this second round against the Titans, and how the Titans are going to just handle their own business because they've had some things to work on. But if the Titans can get this win, 5th straight win against the Colts, another sweep against the Colts, and Jim Irsay is going to lose his mind. And you wonder, if they can't beat Tennessee on Sunday, what's going to happen up there? Is there going to be anything, or is he going to completely ignore it?
You make it sound like Jim Irsay already has his mind. I don't know if
he
ever
does
had
not.
You can't lose something you never had to begin with.
That's
a good point.
That's real petty. But I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
I think it's legit. It's one of the games of the NFL this weekend, for sure.
Yeah, it is. I'm interested to really see what happens, because if they lose this, and I'll be honest with you, they're chasing the Titans and everybody else in the division if they go 0-2 against the Titans.
Well,
Not that I'm hoping they win, but I want to see how they scramble and how they fall apart if that's the case.
That's right.
Yep, we'll see on that one. And then we're going back to the college front for my number 1 game. And I did this just for Vols. I wanted to see, because I feel like Vols are going to be watching this game for the fact they want to see how Alabama bounces back or doesn't bounce back. So that is why I'm taking it there. Alabama versus Mike Leach's Mississippi State Bulldogs. Okay, so I believe that Alabama is favored by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
21 points.
It's a big number.
That's a big number, folks.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're looking at how a lot of people are, or they're just going to be angry. They're going to go, and pound the Bulldogs. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's what I think we're all waiting to see. Bulldogs fell to UK last week. It wasn't a big, or K. Is it UK, right? University?
Yeah, UK.
Yeah. Well, I always want to make sure with the Southern schools I'm getting this exactly right. And just I think all eyes are on if Bama will bounce back. I think that's the biggest thing for us down here. We're all wondering.
There you go.
It's mine. 100%. I want to see what Bama does. Like, if they are who we think they are, as Will says, are they the ones who knock on everybody's door? Okay, like,
right.
And them losing ain't a thing. It's the residual of everything that's happened after they've lost. Like, it seemed like there's been a bunch of lingering on. We were looking at a clip a second ago about Saban doing what, Will? Like, talking about, like, he's ongoing the Tennessee game. He's continuing the conversation. The players have continued the conversation.
There's been distraction this week.
Yeah. And, again, I know they are the what do you want to call them? The gold star level of college
upper
football.
Echelon.
They are upper echelon. This one seems a little weird. So, yes, Kayla, I am watching that one this weekend to see if this 21 points is going to hold true. But Mike Leach is no rollover coach. Mississippi State is no rollover organization or school. So, this is interesting. I ain't going to say, they can beat them simply because the parrot
I almost want to see
weird
how,
stuff.
though, how it looks.
Well, this is
Not just beat them by 3. Like, how angry are they?
And will they clean up penalties?
Yes.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
the identity of what that team is now.
Yep.
Can they clean
With
it
the
up?
penalty issues. It's fair. All right. Ramon Foster's top 5 NFL games to make it professional focused. I'll give my college football games coming up at the start of hour 2. Where are you taking it for number 5?
Number 5, I got Atlanta Cincy. Both 3-3 games. And by the way, this is not a
Loser
hot
leaves
slate.
town game.
Not a hot slate, okay, at all when it comes down to these games this weekend, other than Titans Colts. Like, that's the only exciting one, just being real with you. Atlanta Cincy, just simply because Burrow, they're 3-3. This team is supposed to be the favorite, and they're not right now. And Atlanta right now, it seems like Arthur Smith really got those guys playing, and I'm excited to see, honestly, if they can beat Cincy. Not really in a petty way, but like, when does it actually turn over for Atlanta and Arthur becomes a guy you think that he is or he was here? So that's my number 5. Jets Broncos, simply because the flip record. Like, legitimately, like Zach Wilson being the guy, the 4-2 right now, a New York team. Everybody says New York is good or the league is good when the New York team is doing good. Like, I don't know what to believe with them. But on the other side of it, we got Russ. I got so many Russ faithfuls that are telling me I'm off.
Or do we?
A lot of people like I'm done with him. Like, they dropped him off of their fantasy teams. He had another commercial used yesterday.
Subway commercial that was as bad as his red zone offense has been this year, if that's possible.
Yeah, and he was injured for real this time.
For real.
For real.
Yeah, his agent wants everyone to know he has a real injury and he's in real pain.
Russ has ruined football for us this year. They gave him all these primetime games, and he hasn't been cooking whatsoever.
I used to love him, too. Like,
oh, my God.
Like, beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Chargers Seattle is also another one.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Gino.
Let's go, Gino.
Let Gino cook.
I like what Gino got going on. Like, I called him and he didn't call back or whatever his quote was. Like, looking at that. But then you got
Haters
Justin.
wrote me off. I didn't write back was the exact quote.
But Justin Herbert on the other side. Like, I'll be real. I stepped in front of that bus this year. Said he's going. Like, he's going to take off.
A lot of us did.
Yeah. And all we've seen him do is look like a rookie again. That's all we've seen him do. So, but with Gino doing what he does, this could be very interesting. Number 2, in the divisional game, Cleveland-Baltimore. Lamar even admitted, hey, players mess up. He had some stuff going on last week, was not okay. But Cleveland trying to survive while Deshaun gets back. There was a story yesterday that broke that Deshaun was going 97 into 70 or something like that. They're just waiting on him to get back to the game. I'm just like, all right, get to the point. Number 1 game of the weekend, KC and the 49ers.
Yep.
I want to see what Christian McCaffrey going to look like.
It sounds like he's going to play, too.
Yeah.
Was that your number 1 before they traded him?
No, yeah, it was. There's nothing other than this Titans-Colts game. Like, there's absolutely nothing. The primetime game, even with the Steelers and Dolphins, I'm like, I'm not watching this. You know, I got to, but I don't want to see that. But the Kansas City and 49ers, quarterback play from Patrick is going to be intriguing. And then just what this 49ers offense with Debo, with C-Mac, with just everybody they have, Kittle. Like, they got a squad. It's exciting on paper. I just want to see this game be the most exciting one, the same way we got KC and the Bills last week.
I like it. That is the Friday Five of the National Football League and in the world of football as a whole. And when we come back, we take a look around a busy college football weekend. My 5 biggest questions for games going on in the Big Ten, the Pac-12. You've got an ACC de facto division title game, and you've got an SEC line that I think is one of the weirdest betting lines that I have seen all year on a team that is favored at home, who I think has no business being a favorite in the Southeastern Conference this weekend. We'll tell you who that is coming up next. Hour 2 when we come back on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Schaefer. I'm with Trey Hartsook of Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Here's a word that I'm going to use to describe Dickens. Custom plans, custom seating. Tell us more, Trey.
We don't just say, hey, take this and go run with it, put it down your lawn, and you're going to have the best lawn you've ever seen in your life, because we know that's just not the case. And we have so many different custom blended formulations of grass seeds, starting at the top with our PTT, the Proven Turfgrass Technologies, only available at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, a great fescue blend. Then we get into some really cool blends that we have. Got an 85-15 perennial rye mix, does great if you have a 90-10 bluegrass mix. Everybody loves bluegrass. It's great, but we know it doesn't do the best when it's hot, and that's where that fescue tends to slide in a little bit and get greened up on you a little bit later. It's not just the grass seed, Shaver. It's the custom blended fertilizers as well. well that we have about 4 different options. Just stop in and talk to us about it. We love to help you, love to talk to you about your needs so we can get you exactly what you need for your lawn. Opened up at 7 a.m., closing at 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturdays. If you can't get a hold of us, check us out online, dickinssupply.com.
It's 7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The San Francisco 49ers are sending second, third, and fourth round picks in 2023 and a fifth round pick in 2024 to the Carolina Panthers for star running back Christian McCaffrey. Titans news, linebackers Zach Cunningham and Joe Jones did not practice for the second straight day. Fullback Torrey Carter also did not participate. Nate Davis remained limited. However, Bud Dupree and Amani Hooker were a full go on Thursday. Colts Titans noon kickoff, Nissan Stadium on Sunday. Lee Company countdown to kickoff begins at 9 a.m. Thursday night football, Cardinals defeated the Saints 42-34. Saints QB Andy Dalton threw 2 pick sixes.
Dalton straight drop back, throws over the middle, and a one-handed interception by Isaiah Simmons in midfield. Runs it back to the left of the 40, at the 30, at the 25, at the 20, and Simmons in, back-to-back. Interception returns for touchdowns.
College football homecoming on Rocky Top. UT Martin at number 3 Tennessee, 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. Vol Network coverage begins at 9. The Preds surrendered 4 third-period goals and lost to the Blue Jackets in Columbus 5-3. Nashville winless in its last 4 games. And the Astros edged the Yankees 3-2 last night to take a 2-0 lead in the ALCS. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own with the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. The Zone.
The show goes on to hour 2 on the Friday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors at 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer pushing all the right buttons in our brand new shiny studio here at 104.5 The Zone.
In the world.
Doesn't matter what studio he's in, he's still the best producer in the world as long as that studio is in this world.
Oh.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in on the conversation as we carry the conversation to UT Martin and keep it there for 20 minutes with Josh Ward. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Sports Radio WNML. I gotta work the Nealon Maxims in for you as much as I can.
See.
Yeah.
We're going to press the interview game for Here's Where the Breaks Are Made. Coming up in a couple minutes. But first, the Friday 5 for me in college football.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a bonus one. So maybe it's a Friday 5.5.
Okay.
Today.
I'm with it.
Not really a bonus one, but just a bet that I have already made in college football going into this weekend. Ohio State against Iowa. Ohio State is a 29.5 point favorite on Iowa. I've already picked Ohio State to cover 29.5. I think they might cover 29.5 in the first half.
They possibly could.
Because Iowa's passing defense is terrific.
It's like, do they have offense?
But they have to actually sustain a drive for more than a first down at a time. Like, that defense is going to be so tired against Ohio State. I think they might cover 29.5 in the first half.
God, dog. Ohio State is just that good, though.
So I'm interested to watch them.
Yeah, it was. I forget who it was, and I say this respectfully. They were saying, Ohio State can't play in the SEC. No, because I respect everybody's opinions on sports take because nobody's is just all the way correct. But Ohio State can play in the SEC.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the most laughable if somebody said that they couldn't.
They recruit like that too, right? Like that's one thing that Penn State doesn't do a good job at. Michigan. Again, good. But
Michigan getting there.
They're getting there, yes.
Somebody got mad at me because I said Ohio State recruits wide receivers and skill position players as well as anyone in the SEC. And someone was like, no, they don't. What are you talking about?
Go look at the league.
Look at every NFL wide receiver core and tell me if you can find like 2 in a row in a division that don't have an Ohio State player.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. That's the whole conversation around the Carnell Tate kid coming to UT. Mm-hmm. Like, he could, but he ain't wrong if he go to Ohio State either, you know?
And the biggest thing about Ohio State this year compared to last year, look, last year I don't think that they were as good as they should have been because of the defense. This year, I talked a lot about Joshua about this because Joshua Perry, our guest this week, he does a lot of those games as well. And he said the defense is oodles better.
Yeah.
Night and day
Oodles.
from oodles of noodles. I've had a couple different word choices this week.
Yeah, I like it.
That's fine. It's radio.
It's what happens
like
when I get up in the morning.
we say
this
a
early.
lot of stuff on this. Like you said your mom just told you that.
My mom.
Your mom.
That's right. Number 5. I do not understand for the life of me why LSU is a home favorite against Ole Miss.
Okay, me either.
A 1.5-point favorite. I have no idea.
Well, that's like a 2-point
No
loss.
earthly idea. Effectively, a 1.5, 2:30 game on CBS. It is a Death Valley at night game, but for the second half. LSU coming off a good game against Florida, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels threw for 349 and 3 touchdowns, had 3 scores on the ground. I think Ole Miss has proven to me that they're pretty legit. I don't think they are on the Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama level in the SEC. I think they are the leader. It's interesting. For so long, the conversation all offseason was, it's Georgia and Alabama. Who's the third team? Now, for me, it's changed to who's the fourth team behind Tennessee,
Yes.
Georgia, and Alabama.
Yeah.
And I think that team is Ole Miss. When you talk about Quinshon Judkins, when you talk about Zach Evans, those guys have combined for 1,325 yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground
God.
at the running back position for the Ole Miss Rebels. I think there are yards to be gained for Ole Miss on the ground against LSU, a team that has that patchwork transfer-based secondary that's been pretty good. Wasn't great last week against Florida. That entire defense gave up some yards to Florida. I think Ole Miss runs all over LSU and wins this game.
I'm wondering what Lane's thinking about that line.
Yeah.
1.5 towards LSU. No idea.
I couldn't. And
Could not tell you.
Ole Miss is ranked, what, 7?
Yep. It's so weird of a line that I think I'm not going to touch it.
It's almost like, is this real? Did they make a mistake?
Right. Like when a line is that strange to me, I don't go near it
I would
usually.
take that one. I would take Ole Miss in there. I would.
We'll see.
Just simply because Lane know he can't afford to lose. Like nobody can at this point.
And
right
that
now,
would
but
set up
this one, no way.
an undefeated versus a 1-loss Alabama next week in Oxford. That's the game of the week next week in college
Yeah, it
football.
is.
I would want to go see that one.
Mhm.
That's gonna be good.
Just to watch Saban and
I
Lane.
mean, he photoshopped a mustard bottle hitting his head.
Of course. Number 4, Syracuse at – we just got to keep moving. Syracuse at Clemson. Who wins the de facto title game in the ACC Atlantic Division? Syracuse won 10 games back in 2018, but had never won more than 5 games in any of Dino Babers' 5 other seasons leading the program. Until this season, Syracuse 6-0 for the first time now since 1987. Keith Bullock, stand up. Your Syracuse Orangemen are legit.
I know.
Coming off a
Not-
24-9 win without a healthy Devin Leary, of course, for NC State. So a little bit different, but Garrett Schrader is legit. 171 yards per game, 12 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He completes almost 70% of his passes, and Clemson's secondary allows 256 passing yards per game. Coming into last week, Clemson had the 4th best rush defense in college football, but Florida State ran it for over 200 yards. Dabo Swinney said that his team missed 26 tackles.
Ooh,
No
he
more,
counted.
no less. 26 tackles
Everyone, baby.
in that game. Take the over, but give me Clemson.
Give me Clemson.
By a couple scores in that game.
Really? I mean, you got Syracuse beating NC State, who were ranked also. Like they
Didn't
beat
have
some
Devin
good.
Leary. Didn't have their quarterback.
Wow,
NC State.
He's shooting it down. Y'all don't believe in
Well,
Syracuse?
NC State
Not
didn't have
quite
their
yet.
like NC State is what it is because of Devin Leary.
I'm gonna take a homie pick right here. Just because I got Keith Bullock said he's a VAA, meaning the Vols are all right, I'm rolling with
That's okay.
Syracuse.
Okay.
I don't believe in him yet.
Okay. All
I mean, it's weird talking Q's in football.
right. No, I'm with you.
It is
I
weird.
feel that.
I'm not a huge Clemson fan either, though. I'm not like goo for Dabo, but he's a good head coach. He's
He
a good
is.
head coach,
Give him
and the
that.
biggest thing that I've seen out of Clemson this year, the growth and maturity of DJ Uiagalelei, because last year he didn't have it.
He's been good.
Didn't have it.
My number 3 question in the world of college football is Texas back? They are a 6.5-point favorite, and the bigger question, really, not being sarcastic, is Spencer Sanders healthy enough for Oklahoma State to cover another weird line? Texas, you mentioned, is a 6.5-point favorite at Oklahoma State. That's because Spencer Sanders took a beating in the second half last week against TCU. The Cowboys scored just 6 points in the third and fourth quarters as he was really kind of feeling it in that second half, and not in a good way. Quentin Ewers torched Oklahoma, was not as good last week against a stingy Iowa State defense. Could be the beginning of Gunnar Gundy at quarterback for Oklahoma State if Spencer Sanders can't go.
Interesting.
Is that his
Of
kid?
course, Mike Gundy has a kid named Gunnar. Yeah.
That's
His kid.
Oh, yeah. Gunnar.
Wow.
Whoa.
Gunnar. Hey, Gunnar, get in there and throw that football over them mountains. Spencer can't go.
God.
Thank you.
That
Man,
was
he's
so
older than
cringy.
40 now.
Yeah, he's older.
Man.
He is no longer a man, and he's 40. Number 2.
Still a guy.
That's fine. UCLA at Oregon. Who represents the Pac-12's pursuit of the college football playoff? And can big game Bo Nix be good Bo Nix or bad Bo Nix? I mean, everything that Dan Lanning's team does is predicated on good Bo or bad Bo. I feel like bad Bo is due to come back out.
I do too. It's been too
It's time.
long.
Oregon has averaged 49.8 points per game in the 5 games since they were crushed by Georgia. And Dan Lanning has got some momentum there. The storyline, obviously, of a legend coming back to Eugene and Chip Kelly. The emotion of that entire conversation. Obviously, not his first time back, but his first time back as a contender.
Yeah.
I just think we're due for a bad Bo game. I'm taking UCLA on the road, straight up. I think UCLA wins that game.
Yeah, I do too.
I think they're a good team, and I do like their head coach, man. Going back, this is a revenge tour more than anything. Will and Kayla, like that.
Well, Chip's good
what
now.
time is
Chip's
that
got
game?
a good team
That's what I was
now.
gonna say. Is that a late game? I'm hoping it is so I
2:30
can
on
watch
Fox.
it.
It's
2:30.
Okay, I'll be into that one.
And my number one question is: Kansas State rested enough to beat a battle-tested TCU team? Kansas State has had 2 weeks off to rest for TCU. TCU has been through the ringer with rock fights against Kansas and Oklahoma State. Battle of unbeatens. I mean, this is going to be a
That's
good game.
weird.
Max Duggan is in the Heisman conversation a little bit for TCU. 70% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns to 1 interception. The Frogs averaging well over 300 yards passing in the last 5 games. Rushing game has 6 yards per carry. This is a really interesting game to me. Kansas State able to get it done 10-9 over Iowa State. Kansas State has won a lot of different kinds of football games. They've won the defensive struggles. They've won the shootouts. Now can they outgun Max Duggan? I don't think they can. I think TCU still has enough. But Kansas State off of the bye, as many big games as TCU has played over the last couple of weeks, this one is a very interesting game. That's the late game on FS1. And I think it's the game of the weekend.
100%.
So it's crazy to me that, same. It's crazy
That's a lot
to me
purple,
that
though, in that
Alabama,
game.
Mississippi State doesn't even make the list for me, but that would have been number 7, I guess.
I wasn't
behind, Ohio
talking
State.
when I did my top 5,
Yeah,
though.
right.
I was kind of talking just about the storylines, but for matchups, I mean, I wouldn't put it in there for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our Friday Fives of games you need in your lives this weekend in the world of college football. And when we come back, the Tennessee football Volunteers are ranked to the top 3, in case you haven't heard. Haven't heard Ron Slade, myself, Ramon yelling about it. But they are. And they're going to play a football game tomorrow as well. Time to turn the page to UT Martin as Ramon Foster shows the power T on his chest. I was proud of you for not. Actually, I'm never proud of someone for not wearing orange. I was surprised that you didn't wear orange today, and then you unzip the jacket and you've got it right there.
I was about to put
Close to
on
your
clothes
heart.
today, man, and I was just like, man, this is what I grabbed.
Yeah,
the
what
fleece.
happened to Fashionable Friday? Because that
I
ain't
know.
cutting it.
Well, it was a couple late nights in a row. I had out with the kids and stuff, and it was just like, you know what? Let me just throw on something quick. That's what this was.
Ratchet kids' fault.
Always the ratchet kids.
Blame it
man.
on the kids.
Oh, hey, they can't defend themselves.
When we come back, Josh Ward, Sports Radio WNML joins us. We'll talk about Tennessee's weekend against UT Martin, the Wildcats, the Bulldogs on deck with a man that is a very good friend of the show. Josh Ward coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Change is coming and you need to be prepared. Hey, this is Ramon Foster, and did you know that new regulations are coming soon that could increase the price of replacing your older HVAC system by over 20%? That's why you need to act now and get that older system replaced by my friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 18 months with no payments. You can lock in today's price and not have to pay until spring of 2024, or you can upgrade now and get up to $1,500 off your new HVAC. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is always backed by a 10-year parts and labor warranty on York products. And Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is also a York certified comfort expert company. If you're in need of repair work, they offer free service calls with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs. They are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, available anytime at springhillac.com.
It is up, and it somehow got through. It may have been partially blocked. It was a knuckleball. It was ugly, but it was good enough. Tennessee 52, Alabama 49.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Ugly, but good enough. Sounds like an ex-girlfriend talking to you after
I
you.
thought you was going to say that.
Sounds like every girl of every day.
I knew
has told me
he was
that.
going to say it.
Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, and Kayla Anderson with you. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen as we go to the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline and check in with our buddy Josh Ward from Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
Hey, good morning. My wife could probably say that about me. But as long as you get it on record, right? So good enough is still good for Chase McGrath and the Vols.
Amen.
Right.
Won't be as dramatic of a game tomorrow in Neyland Stadium, but has everyone calmed down at all? Like, have we moved on at all from this Tennessee-Alabama game, or what's the vibe like in Knoxville?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Perfect.
That's why
Good.
It is very good that Tennessee is playing UT Martin this week, because it's not a game that you have to worry about. And we'll see if they're sluggish in any way coming out, but this is not a game that the opponent can realistically come in and have a chance to win. And I think that's good because it has carried over. And I know Monday Josh Heupel was talking about, okay, we have to move forward here. We have to move past Alabama, but check Vol Football Social. I don't think they've moved on yet. They're still in celebration mode, and Tennessee fans for sure are and should be because of how massive that win was. But there is no conversation now Thursday, Friday of, well, could there be a hangover this week? Like if Tennessee had to turn around and play Kentucky while Tennessee's the better team, I think Tennessee will have a really good chance next week to beat Kentucky and keep moving forward. There would be that hangover question, and it just doesn't exist. Plus, it gives you another week with Cedric Tillman and some guys in the secondary. So there is a need there to get some guys physically better. So I've thought all season the schedule has laid out as well as you could hope, considering it's an SEC schedule and you have Alabama and Georgia on it. And this would be an example. The schedule allowing UT Martin in between Bama and Kentucky can really benefit Tennessee.
And Josh, it's interesting too, and maybe a bit surprising to me how quickly Tennessee moved from a team that can win on any given Saturday against an Alabama or a college football playoff contender and a national championship contender. Are you surprised with how quickly national people, but also just the entire conversation has shifted to Tennessee being a legitimate national championship contender?
Maybe a little bit, but I think the reason that it's happened so quickly is because people still needed to see it. People could see that the offense was really good, and Tennessee beat Florida, and that was impressive. But then there's how good is Florida? And Tennessee went and whipped up on LSU, and I think a lot of people were impressed, but still said, okay, well, let's see what you can do against a team that we believe is complete, and that's Alabama. But I think people were starting to sense something because at Neyland Stadium, the atmosphere was great. Game day came back, everything we talked about ahead of time. National media coverage of the game itself, the press box was full of national media in town, knowing how big of a game that could be, which also had to say that they knew if Tennessee won, then that's going to change the conversation about Tennessee football. That is Tennessee back question in their minds would probably be answered. So I think that plus the offense, we spent so much time over the last few years talking about how offense is driving the game and offense is what's going to give you a shot to win a title. And Tennessee has that. Tennessee has an offense that right now is as impressive as any in the country. To put up 52 on Alabama and Tennessee to do what it did, I think a lot of people believe that, yes, this team is for real. Maybe not the favorite to win the national title, but absolutely a contender.
And that's why I want to go with that. How poised is this team to actually be the haunted in a sense? And I know Georgia's breathing down their neck and Georgia's the front runner, but you look at Kentucky, you look at Missouri, South Carolina, and everybody else. Like, how do they stand up against this?
Tennessee does have to be ready for those games, and they do have to make sure what we just talked about, that they don't allow themselves to hear what everybody else is saying. Oh, Kentucky will be no problem, and South Carolina will be easy, because those teams are going to think, hey, here's our chance to now knock off this team that everybody else is talking about. The reason I don't worry too much about that is the veteran experience that Tennessee has, starting with Hendon Hooker. Everything that people say about him is for real, that he's not affected, that he is comfortable, he's in control. He's an older player, and that applies with some other guys on the offensive side for sure. Prince Fant is an older player to help lead the offense. Jerome Carvin is a guy that has played a lot of football in this offensive line together. They're so much better, I think, because of their experience together on the field. They've improved as the season has gone along, and I think that's what's driving this team. So nothing's guaranteed, but I think the veteran composure that this team has, and Jalen Hyatt talking about wanting to do more even after a 5-touchdown game against Alabama, and what we hear behind the scenes of how he's put in work to keep getting better, I think that's for real. So Tennessee's not guaranteed to go out and beat Kentucky, but we have returned to the conversation of if Tennessee plays its game and Tennessee does what it's capable of, well, then Kentucky and South Carolina, certainly Missouri and Vanderbilt, they're not going to have enough to keep up with Tennessee.
I don't think many people notice or paid attention to it because this group always gets looked over. Gosh, okay. But the left tackle, Gerald Mincey, ended up going out.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be an offensive line. Yeah, no doubt about that. They're always disrespected.
You know I was going to shine light on my guys, man. But Mincey goes out and Crawford comes right in and throws up and go beat somebody up right after that, man. How has this group improved with Coach Ellerby from where they started even last year to – I mean, we didn't even hear about their first-round draft picks this past game.
Yeah, that to me is what's so impressive is that we knew B.J. Ojulari, hey, you got to be ready for a potential first-round pick. And then, okay, well, you held him in check, but now you have Will Anderson and you have Dallas Turner, who's probably a future first-round pick in a couple of years when he's eligible. And we didn't hear much from them either. And, you know, Will Anderson was coming off an 11 quarterback pressure game and chopped 10 off that. So you can't overstate what the offensive line was able to do. Even from the beginning of the season, there were still some concerns coming out of the Pittsburgh game where there was some extra pressure, and they had they had veteran players on the defensive front, but the thought there was, okay, well, it could get even tougher in SEC play, and I think in terms of competition it has, but Tennessee has stepped its game up. And Glenn Ellerby, I think, is a really good offensive line coach, and Darnell Wright has progressed to the point where NFL teams have to be really impressed with what he's done, so he's helped his stock a lot. But I mentioned how much time they've played together, and that has to be a big part of communication there on the field and what they've seen coming out of the Pitt game, looking at film. You know, even the Akron game, we came out saying, okay, are they going to be able to really run consistently? And then they have taken off and run literally since then, and the backs deserve credit. But the most improved position group, I think, is easily the offensive line. And they had the physical makeup. You know, Javonte Spraggins is a guy that his mindset, the way he plays, is exactly, I think, what you want out of that right guard spot. And Jerome Carvin is probably one of the underrated leaders of Tennessee's football team. And, you know, Ramon, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago after the Florida game, where it backed up and was it Jabari maybe, whichever running back got kind of tossed to the ground, and Jerome gets in that guy's face. And, you know, that moment is all of this because of that? No, but I think that's a reminder of how this team plays together and how this offensive line is not afraid of anything that they're going to face, and instead they're going to be the enforcers. And they played well, so confidence has to have grown because of that too.
Josh, what's an update on wide receiver Cedric Tillman? It's crazy to think he's been out for this many games and there's been no skipping of beats there, just a guy stepping up. But I know that Heupel did give an update on him.
Yeah, so I think we are seeing the most positive update. Josh Heupel's not saying much, but what you hear from the practice field is that Cedric Tillman is doing more. I do not expect him to play this week just because I don't think they need him to, but I think there is a ton of confidence that he can be ready to go against Kentucky next week. Nothing I've heard is guaranteed there, but I think the optimism is real. Like even leading into last week, Alabama was the week they pointed to hope to have him back, but that was the real word, hope. Now I think there's a lot of confidence that he can play, but I think they'll be careful with Cedric this week, and they've used more practice time to get him work, but hold him out. I mean, he went out in the Akron game, right? So one of those games where you're just trying to get some work done, and then that's where he's injured. So give him one more week to get ready. I don't think rust is going to be any kind of concern in the offense, and obviously they have confidence in what Brew McCoy and Jalen Hyde have done to step up, and Ramel Keaton as well. So Cedric, and then the defensive backfield, if there's any kind of concern with those guys who had to miss or go out last week, give them another week to rest up, especially I think you might be dealing with some hamstring, soft tissue issues there. No reason to run any kind of risk against UT Martin. In fact, you can get some other guys some opportunity to play this week because I think that's my number one thing to work on. You're going to win the game. Get guys some real time because more injuries can pop up. You're 2 months into the season. So guys that have played some for you, in the first 2 months, get them some real run this Saturday because they could be needed again in November.
Yeah, this type of game coming at the right time. So we talked about the wide receivers. The run game has been pretty good. And look, you've got to have that because everybody thinks of Josh Heupel's, high-flying offense. Don't really talk about the run game at all. Jabari Small, I found this interesting. Been dealing with some injuries, but he came out this week and said he's kind of been mad. He's tired of getting injured, and he's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he is. And, think about the Akron game. So coming out of there, the biggest question was Tillman, and we're still waiting for that to be officially answered. But also that week, there was the concern about Dylan Sampson, who did have to miss, and then Jabari Small. He went out in that Akron game as well. And the conversation was kind of, okay, here we go again. He was injured last year, and he did play through it, but it affected him. Is he going to be out against Florida? And then he went out there, and I think he had 19 carries in that game. He had a big run at the start of the third quarter. And that was kind of a statement, I thought, for him to say, okay, I did have to go out last week, but stop questioning what I'm able to do, because he hears it. He has to. And a lot of people were saying, well, it's Jalen Wright's turn. And really, I think Jabari and Jalen Wright have been a terrific combo in that backfield. And the way that Jalen runs, he's had some ball security questions, but the way he runs, there's no question there. And he and Jabari have stepped up. So those two guys, knowing that going into the season, there wasn't a lot of depth at the position. That was one of the questions coming out of August was, okay, Lyneth Whitehead goes down, brought in Lynn J. Dixon, didn't work out. He left the team almost as quickly as he got here. Are these guys going to be able to hold up? And they have, and they deserve credit. And they probably have had to play through some stuff. But that, again, speaks to the mindset that they have and this team has that, I think they're confident, they're comfortable. Hendon Hooker is the leader of the group, but other players play a big role in that too.
Josh Ward, Sports Radio WNML, with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Josh, is this an opportunity for D. Williams to get a lot of run at corner tomorrow against UT Martin?
Yeah, I would think so. He's a guy that he was out for the first month plus of the season,
right?
And it made an immediate impact returning punts. Playing corner is a spot in this defense where it's a challenge, and I think they're still looking for guys to step up from August, being happy with the depth in terms of competition, but still hoping guys would emerge. And Kamal Haddon, I think, has been a guy that at times has shown he could be that, but he's on that injury list right now. So with him, with Warren Burrell being out, that's led to probably a bigger ask than they hoped for guys to emerge. So assuming Kamal can't go, if Christian Charles can't play, because he's been another player that they've expected a lot out of, if they're not available, then yeah, D. Williams is a player that came in expecting to contribute right away, had the injury setback, but can still help them at corner for sure. And they need him because, Kentucky next week's going to come in and challenge Tennessee's secondary, right? That's what they're going to look at. They have Chris Rodriguez, and they're going to try to run the football, but Mark Stoops can put on film and see that that's been tough for just about everybody else at times. So it could be tough for Kentucky. Last year they were able to throw the football. So they're going to challenge Tennessee's secondary, I'm sure, next week. This is an important week if D's able to play a good amount at corner for him to get some reps to be ready next week, because you also don't have guarantees with those other guys that have been injured, either availability for next week or, how they'll play. You get in the middle of a game, and I think this coaching staff is still trying to figure out who their top guys are at corner.
And speaking of corner, tonight, Josh, on the Zone, actually, our high school football game of the week is Lipscomb and CPA. And four-star corner Caleb Beasley is set to announce his decision tonight. Really talented Lipscomb Academy corner who was on campus last week for Tennessee's win over Alabama. Vols in the mix there. Does it feel like, I know with him specifically, but just with a number of guys, there's kind of a wave coming of another big crop of recruits who were in town last weekend for this Alabama game?
Yeah, so back to the start of the segment, we were talking about Tennessee moving on as the conversation stopped at this point in the week. For the coaches publicly, it has. I promise with recruits, they've not stopped telling them about what happened against Alabama. And they know, they saw. And there can be some benefit with the 23 class, but I think the real win from Alabama onto the recruiting trail will be with the 24 class. Recruiting is the calendar is more sped up now. The official visits happen more quickly. So commitments happen earlier in the process. So right now, recruiting the 24 class is really important. Right now in the state of Tennessee, recruiting is really important. So, yeah, I think Tennessee fans can expect good news with the announcement there tonight. And there's some other really highly touted players in the state of Tennessee that I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on a commitment anytime soon, but Tennessee is definitely trending really well. So I think there will probably be some benefit with the 23 class as you have a few spots to still fill. But I think the conversation of how beating Alabama and what's going on with the football program right now can really elevate recruiting. Recruiting for this year is already in really good shape. It could potentially be even better next year, top to bottom with the class, because of what Tennessee is doing right now to get ahead of everybody else for 2024.
Josh Ward has been our guest at Josh_Ward on Twitter. You can hear him daily on Josh and Swain on 99.1 FM, the sports animal in Knoxville. Always appreciate it, Josh. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Josh.
Hey, you got it. Thanks a lot.
All right, there is Josh Ward with us today on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. When we come back, Tennessee back on the field tomorrow, and they will do so with a uniform quirk that we have never seen from the Vols.
Love
a
this.
fashion update that Kayla Anderson is a big fan of. Coming up next, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
The 2023 model year Fords are out at Two Rivers Ford, and as always, you can count on Two Rivers to make purchasing a 2023 Ford fast, easy, and fun, because there are so many ways to shop. You can stop by the dealership in Mount Juliet. They're just east of the Nashville airport. Or you can reach out by phone to any of their non-commissioned salespeople at 800-900-1000, or simply head to tworiversford.com to check out their inventory, or to custom order the exact Ford you want. Whether it's an F-150, a Bronco, an Explorer, Escape, or Expedition, Two Rivers Ford will make sure that you get exactly what you want for the price that you want that is well below MSRP, and that goes for custom orders too. In fact, Two Rivers Ford has been selling all non-specialty new Fords below MSRP for decades. And speaking of decades, you always hear me tell you that Two Rivers Ford has been locally owned since 1983, and we all know how much they do for our Middle Tennessee community. But did you also know that Two Rivers Ford is a nationally recognized dealership? Two Rivers Ford is one of Ford Motor Company's top 40 sales volume dealerships in the country, and that's out of almost 3,000 dealerships. No wonder they're able to sell at such great prices. They have an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. They've won the Ford President's Award for customer satisfaction numerous times and are simply great people. Reach out to Two Rivers Ford and see for yourself what everybody else is talking about. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Tennessee and UT Martin tomorrow right here at 104.5 The Zone. Vol Network coverage beginning at 9 a.m. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. And the Vols will have a different look tomorrow at Neyland Stadium for homecoming. Breaking out the Summit Blue. 50th anniversary of Title IX, the celebration for that. And Tennessee will have sleeves and I believe gloves. I think it's mainly sleeves, like the arm sleeves you put on, that are Lady Vol Blue in honor of one Pat Summit.
Sometimes you just do stuff right like this. You know, it's one way of doing it, and this is the right way, man. I'm proud that they're able to do this because our Lady Vols program is by far one of the best in the nation, just over time and just consistently being at the top of it, man. And this is, if you're going to do it, it's this week. Homecoming is not just for Vols, it's for everybody. Yeah. So this is how you do it right here.
What I love fashion, first and foremost. What I love is accents on things. So I'm not a big, like, you got to do a lot. Yeah. Sometimes I just feel like the little things and adding an accent can just make it pop. It's what Kevin Byard did a couple years ago. He started the red, where he would wear the red cleats, he'd wear the red gloves, just have it pop. Now look at the defense. The whole defense is doing it.
That's true.
So when I heard about this, I loved it because that baby blue with the orange, there's just something about how it complements each other. Sure. You never knew you were going to get a design class on this radio show this morning. But it's going to look good. And the biggest thing is the cause behind it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about Tennessee athletics. What I've kind of grown to know down here is they all support each other and they support the history. And they keep, wanting to keep these legends alive, whether it be coaches or players. So I think it's really cool.
That's one thing that I was, of course, you can't control life or anything. But, like, if Pat Summit could see this era of, like UT sports, it'd be really cool. Really cool.
We got to give a shout-out to the OG of the red gloves also for the Titans and Keith Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Monday Night with the red
you go
gloves
back that far.
On Monday Night Football. But I think it's interesting when you look at the 8-year evolution of Tennessee athletics. And you think about all the athletic directors and all the administrative changes that have gone on in that time, because there have been many of them. And in 2014, we're talking about Dave Hart and the Tennessee Athletic Department doing away with the Lady Vols name. And fast forward 8 years, and you have an athletic director and an administration savvy enough to understand how the promotion of that brand helps the brand of Tennessee athletics as a whole.
Yep.
Because in the state of Tennessee, the way I grew up and the way many of us have grown up in this state, women's sports mean more to Lady Vols and Vols because of Pat Summit and because of Ralph and Karen Weekly and the softball program and the light blue and the imagery of what that means carries a little bit of a different weight in this state than it does in many other places. So when you talk about walking the walk of Title IX and celebrating that and what it means, I think Tennessee, and it goes back to Joan Cronin and the women's athletic department at the University of Tennessee. It's Joan Cronin, it's Pat Summit, it's Karen Weekly are the three kind of pillars of what that has meant at the University of Tennessee. So obviously I'm a big jersey guy. I always have been.
Yeah.
Of just like loving like different uniform changes. And I always have mixed feelings of Tennessee doing anything different in football. But this is the time to do it. 50th anniversary of Title IX this year. Something you maybe do once every couple of years, doing a light blue accent game. But it just means more for Tennessee fans when you talk about the Lady Vol brand and what Pat Summit meant to that program and to many of us who grew up watching Candace Parker and then ball out all the time.
Well said, Will. Said.
So
it was the time of UT where they carried Tennessee sports. Just being honest, like they won 2 national championships while I was at Tennessee.
Right,
Lady Vols.
And that's now, because of that, it's happening at other schools like South Carolina.
Oh my gosh!
So that it goes way beyond Tennessee. It's now spreading out to other programs that are having success with women's basketball.
Can I be honest? In my household this year during basketball season, we probably watched more women's basketball than we did men's.
There's some good teams.
It is. I'm not ashamed to say that. We watched a lot of women's basketball this year.
Ron Slade, by the way, in the YouTube chat at 104.5 The Zone TV, I just opened it up and just saw his comment. Slade said a couple minutes ago, Kayla, Keith Bullock is going to get you. He started the red.
He is. I know. But you guys got to realize I'm not from here. I'm not afraid to admit that. I
Then
haven't
Slay
been
got-
watching Titans since I was 2.
Slay got mad at me then because I didn't give him credit for saying that. I didn't have the, I didn't have
so
the
it
YouTube
was
open
Slay
until
that
just
told-
now.
There's so many reasons to be mad at you.
Okay.
Yeah, they're mad at me too now. So Keith Bullock's going to come after me. The bully's going to come after me.
No, but I think with the Title IX stuff and the conversation around women's sports, I would rather you show me rather than tell me. This to me is Tennessee showing what the Pat Summitt legacy has been and what all those things are. They just opened up a store, by the way, in Knoxville. I forget the name of it, but they opened up a store that is all Lady Vols merch, and that's it.
Really?
Yes, they have.
Because our buddy Brian Rice was there, the new voice of the Lady Vols on radio in Knoxville for the Vol Network, was there for the ribbon cutting. Joan Cronin was there. It was pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
I'll tell you what, that fan base is legit.
Oh, isn't it? And now that Kelly Harper's there,
It is.
it's like giving it even more new life, like a fresh reboot.
Preseason number 5 this year.
I know.
Lady Vols. They're going to be legit. So looking
Exciting.
forward to. I know Ron Slay's been talking about them on 3HL too, and wants to give them their love in addition to the men. But going to be cool in Knoxville. Homecoming weekend, the opportunity for Tennessee to get healthy and get right. But a tip of the cap to the GOAT to ever do it in Pat Summitt. I'm always here for Pat Summitt shout-outs.
100%, man.
Good stuff there, of course. When we come back, halftime of the show. Start of the third quarter on the Friday edition. Mike Keith joins us in hour 3 as we get ready for Titans Oilers Alumni Weekend and give you his keys to a Titans win over the Indianapolis Colts. We reset the NFL headlines where Baby Yoda gets a win
Baby Yoda.
with a wide receiver core that's tall enough to ride a roller coaster.
Strap in.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
Summer's over, but that joint pain is still there, and it's time to do something about it. Hey, it's Ramon Foster, and I want you to call QC Kinetics now. You've put it off long enough, and it's time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees and back and shoulders and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Lots of people here have done this, and they're living life to the fullest pain-free. So don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics today. Stop putting it off. Call now for a free consultation at 615-249-4024. Again, the number is 615-249-4024.
It is 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The San Francisco 49ers are sending second, third, and fourth round picks in the 2023 draft and a fifth round pick in 2024 to the Carolina Panthers for star running back Christian McCaffrey. Linebackers Zach Cunningham and Joe Jones did not practice for the second straight day. Fullback Torrey Carter also did not participate for the Titans. Nate Davis remained limited. However, Bud Dupree and Amani Hooker were a full go Thursday, which would give them the green light to play Sunday. Colts Titans noon kickoff, Nissan Stadium. The Lee Company countdown to kickoff begins at 9 a.m. Thursday night football, actually a high-scoring affair for a change. Cardinals 42, Saints 34. Saints quarterback Andy Dalton threw 2 pick sixes.
Dalton straight drop back, throws over the middle, and a one-handed interception by Isaiah Simmons in midfield. Runs it back to the left of the 40, at the 30, at the 25, at the 20, and Simmons in, back-to-back. Interception returns for touchdowns.
That's a little rough. Homecoming on Rocky Top, UT Martin at number 3 Tennessee, 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. Vol Network coverage begins at 9. The Preds surrendered 4 third-period goals and lost to the Blue Jackets in Columbus 5-3. Nashville winless in its last 4 games. And in Major League Baseball, the Astros edged the Yankees 3-2 to take a 2-0 lead in the ALCS. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, and like the Tennessee football Volunteers, this offense does not slow down in the third and fourth quarter. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. That voice coming up in a couple of minutes. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, will preview Titans and Colts with us. 2 more hours left in our work week. Hope you are having a great week here on a cold week in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to get warmer this weekend, though. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. That is the best producer in the world. His name is Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world! The world, Craig.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. The New Orleans Aints last night, taking a loss to the Arizona Cardinals. But the story of the evening is Christian McCaffrey. Panthers running back headed to the San Francisco 49ers. Back to the Bay where he played his college ball at Stanford. Carolina receiving a 2023 second, third, and fourth, and a 2024 fifth round pick that becomes official late last night, but I guess in primetime on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Or if you wake up in the middle of the night like I did
and
saw the ESPN alert. Oh, wait, what? Yeah. Is this a dream?
I was shocked. There was no. Well, they had been trying to offload people too for a little while too. I'm not sure if
they're
it's true.
still offloading there.
They
now Brian Burns is in the talk.
Burns,
really?
Yeah, and he was just a draft pick here in the 2019.
Wow. They've got a good secondary.
Yeah,
talking to you, Titans. I don't know.
No,
I'm just
say
saying,
it with your chest.
They do have some. They do have some dudes.
Say it with your chest.
Their secondary's okay.
I was talking to you, Titans man.
I'm halfway joking when I say that.
But they got a really good left tackle, dog. Akeem Ekwonu. He's a kid they drafted
Icky.
6 over Icky. Yeah, over
NC State.
Overall last year, man. That sucks. I'll say this as a player. I've never been in a situation to where you start just, releasing people, trading people out. Like, I don't think it was many times we traded folks out in my time. But I know the fans probably get mad a lot of time when teams lose. And like, man, you guys suck. You don't try. Fight. All those types of conversations. This right here, like, losing is a terrible feeling. Like, you can't get used to it. Like, I mock, like, what Cleveland has gone through or, like, Cincinnati or, those bad teams that you're just like, man, y'all, it must suck to go to work. And a lot of those players will tell you, yeah, it's a hard day to go. Like, the check and all that is cool, but, like, 17 straight weeks, now 18 straight weeks of losing and knowing that you don't have an opportunity to win. Like, imagine being Ike Ekwonu. And he's in a position, man, I'm living out my dreams. Like, and I think he's from the Carolina area. And you get drafted to a team that he probably followed and was a fan of. And you know for this year, you're going to be a straight loser. Like, not understanding the business of positioning yourself for a high draft pick next year. I couldn't imagine walking into a stadium and knowing I'm going to lose a game. And that's what Carolina is now.
And Will mentioned it before. I don't know what the future is right now because clearly the ownership, it's not something you can get excited about because the right decisions haven't necessarily been made.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what direction is this organization going in? We don't really know right now.
I don't think they know. You fire the head coach, still paying him $40 million. What was it, over $800,000 a month?
Matt Rule.
For the foreseeable future, Matt Rule.
I mean, they're like
Future Auburn coach Matt Rule, perhaps?
probably.
He needs to get back into coaching. Sorry.
And
In
college coaching.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, college coaching. Yeah. That's frustrating. I really couldn't understand that. Like, can you imagine walking into a situation knowing you're about to just take a nail?
Absolutely not.
No, that's a life that I would not want to live. I hate it for those dudes. Like, at this point, after C-Mac got traded, it's done. Season's cooked.
Sure.
For the Panthers.
The Athletic had a piece the other day of teams who have helped or hurt themselves the most in playoff chances now based on the beginning of the year. 5 teams have seen their preseason playoff odds change by at least 30 percentage points. The New York Giants lead the way, 47.1% increase.
Wow.
As a team that was not expected to make the playoffs. And then Philadelphia has seen an increase of 40% and is now a 99.7% chance to make the playoffs after starting the year with a good shot. The Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson have seen a negative 40% change in what they have. The Saints right behind them, and the team headed to Nissan Stadium on Sunday.
Colts
has the third biggest drop in playoff odds at the beginning of the year to now. And that's because they were overrated again by not only talking heads and media members, but they were overrated by analytics as well. They had a 75% chance of making the playoffs coming into the season. That chance is now 45%. The Tennessee Titans stand the best chance of making the playoffs in the AFC South at 69.2%, projected at 9.2 wins. The Jags at 20%.
Are we surprised, though, by this Indy thing? Like you said, every year it is Indy. It's all they talk about in the AFC South, at least.
Yeah.
It's always the favorite, Indy.
Yep.
And so it doesn't shock me that we're in this position again.
Well, if you look at their makeup, you like what their coach is.
Sure.
Right? You look at them and say,
but
I don't know.
You
if
go
you
get a
do
veteran
now,
quarterback.
But did you get an upgrade at quarterback?
No, you clearly didn't. You didn't get an upgrade at quarterback. The offensive line, you expected it to be better. And the other side of this, playing devil's advocate, is, I mean, Jonathan Taylor wasn't expected to be hurt. Like, remember the conversation? We double-dutched this all offseason.
He was healthy against the Titans.
All last year. I'm just saying, like, there was conversation. Who was 1, 2, and 3 in this league as far as running backs go? A lot of people. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry.
Or did NFL 100 have him, like, 5th?
Yeah.
I mean,
the 5th best player in the league?
Come on. So it ain't wrong to assume that.
But what did the Titans, I guess, not have to be, because they lost A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the reason why that they weren't talked about.
Yeah.
It was almost like, what did they get rid of to make them not a favorite?
Well, because when you talk about stars for the Tennessee Titans that get national conversation and national appeal, it was 2 players, A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry.
And A.J. just started to get it. He was
Absolutely
not getting it well before. When he went to Philly, it was triple the amount of coverage just because it was Philly.
Right. And I think that started when it was, you had him, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel all in the same contract conversation. And those 3 guys got lumped in together. And I think those 3 guys' careers will always be compared because they were at the same crossroads at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But you talk about, obviously, the players that deserve that attention. Jeffrey Simmons is the one, and Kevin Byard. Those 2 both deserve way more than they get. But again, we could have that conversation for the rest of the show about why the Titans do or don't get national praise.
Well,
and we don't care because this isn't a national show. This is a local show, and we're going to talk about the Titans.
Yeah.
With Jeffrey
That's all you
Simmons,
should care about.
It's the position he plays.
Well, sure.
He's
but
not going to get that type of
True.
attention that you want him
DeForest
to
Buckner
get.
gets that kind of attention, and Jeffrey Simmons does not.
But not really.
But he's not at that age yet.
DeForest didn't get it until he got signed there.
Yeah.
And you got to think he was with San Francisco, too.
Right.
I don't think he's getting a whole lot
Chris
now.
Jones
Not
gets it.
right now.
Well, Chris Jones.
'Cause he won a
also-
Super Bowl.
Well, no. Who's Chris Jones' teammate?
Well, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because he won a Super
exactly.
Bowl.
So I think it's fair. At D tackle, you got 5 guys usually. 4.
Right.
Right? Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox when he's super hot. Cam Hayward barely is making that conversation. Say what you want to. And Jeff.
Right. The bigger point just being, though, that the Colts get that attention because they have superstars at sexier positions than the Titans do.
I'd almost go and say had. I don't know who they got.
Well, that's
right
what I'm
now.
saying.
Well, yeah.
In the offseason,
Okay,
they
yeah.
had those guys.
Yeah, had.
And Shaq Leonard has not produced because of his injuries as well, and his process coming back. Stephon Gilmore has been pretty good. The one that still continues to surprise me is Yannick Ngakoue and his lack of production at the edge rusher position. Hasn't clicked.
Yeah.
You look at the analytics, it has him as one of the worst edge rushers among qualifiers that start this year in the National Football League.
Yeah, who would have thought that?
I know.
The Colts get that attention because they became a national brand with Peyton Manning. That's why they
You
get
are
it.
not wrong.
No,
That's why they get it. And
At
that's
all.
why it continues to carry over. And then when it was Peyton, then it was Andrew Luck.
It's a good fan base. Good meaning just it's a big fan base.
And that's why they have it.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm knocking the way that manifests itself in confidence in that brand and confidence in that team. You can give a team attention in conversation without pumping their tires and calling them a contender when they're not ready to be a contender.
You can also look at what's happened between the Titans and Colts head to head in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be based upon the perception
No, I
of what
know
happened
that.
previously. So it goes back down to if you want that, you have to win big consistently.
Yeah.
And they are consistently beating the Indianapolis Colts.
That's what I'm saying.
But
As of
nobody
late.
outside of the markets care, though.
That's
the
their
thing.
problem.
I understand
Yeah,
that,
that's
but
their
what I'm
problem. I don't
saying is
care.
that that's not going to change until you go
Well,
and you win big.
Well,
I
then we'll
don't-
continue taking victory laps when they're wrong.
Also, head coach Mike Vrabel, coach of the year. I think I remember last year, right?
Yeah. Also, what follows him this year is knocked out first round of the playoffs.
True.
That's the narrative, for sure. Titans have an opportunity, though, at 4-2. This is a prove-it week for so many teams in the National Football League. When you talk about all the 3-3 teams and the 3-2 Tennessee Titans that are in that bucket with a lot of other squads in the NFL, you have a chance to rise above kind of the muck
Yeah.
in the middle of the NFL, in the middle of the pack, not only the AFC South, but league-wide.
Yeah.
You have a chance to put yourself in the top third of NFL teams and make yourself a top 10 team at the turn of week 8, week 7, going into week 8 next week. So that's the opportunity you got on Sunday. And when we come back, we continue the conversation with voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, not only getting his keys to a Titans win this weekend, but also taking a look at the significance of what Titans-Oilers Alumni Weekend has become and the job Amy Adams-Strunk has done in creating this culture where guys want to come back and they want to come back for a big game like this as proud Titans for life. We'll talk about that. Mike Keith up next. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Will Boldick, Ramon Foster, and Kayla Anderson with you. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen as we continue to preview Titans and Colts this weekend in Nissan Stadium. And we go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, joined by voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. Brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Look to the folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans when you need someone who knows the health coverage game plan. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
We're doing well, and I want to certainly get into lots with this Titans-Colts matchup, but wanted to start with Titans-Oilers Alumni Weekend. How cool has it been to see this weekend and this event grow and have so many former Titans back in town for one game a year for a big one like this one against Indy?
It's one of my favorite things, and the reason is it draws from our original history, which was so important to our founder, Bud Adams, and is so important to his family, and it combines 25 years of history now here. And all of these guys being brought together are part of our organization. You know, it's funny, Baltimore plays Cleveland this weekend, and obviously the Baltimore Ravens were the Cleveland Browns. But there's no tie to the history because when they moved to Baltimore, the Browns had to leave that history in Cleveland. So this is, as we know, another incarnation of the Browns. We are still the original incarnation of the Oilers. Our history dates back 60 years. And at first, that wasn't such a cool thing when we moved here because this area said, hey, we want our own team and our own name. But as we've become an NFL city, people have begun to realize Earl Campbell and Warren Moon and Dan Pastorini and Elvin Bethea and all these guys are part of our history. And our fans like that. And so it's really a nice thing that it has developed sort of organically in this way with the fan base. And now we're able to combine the weekends and I think it makes all of us very happy. I was an Oiler for a period of time, was very proud to be an Oiler, and am excited to see our Houston Oilers and our Tennessee Oilers and, you know, our Tennessee Titans be together.
Absolutely. Mike, when we talk about this game against Indianapolis, Matt Ryan, 21 no-huddle passes against Jacksonville, completed 15 of them. And a lot of throws that were within 2.5 seconds of getting the football. How different is this Indianapolis offense this week than it was a couple of weeks ago with some of the changes they've made up front in your eyes?
You know, Will, that's an interesting question because will they choose to go in that direction?
Right.
They're going to have Jonathan Taylor back and Nyheim Hines back. And they did that because they didn't have either one of those guys. Deion Jackson did a nice job for him, but they knew they weren't going to be able to pound the ball like they did in previous weeks. And so they said, you know, we're just going to line up, and our run game is going to be the quick pass game. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take advantage of these big receivers that we have, these tight ends that we have, and we're going to get them out in space, throw them the ball, and see if they can make 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 yards. And that's what they did. And having a 37-year-old quarterback to do that, Will, is a great thing because, I mean, that's 7-on-7 to him. He knows exactly what to do. So how much of that will they stick with those backs back? Will they do some of that? Will they do none of that? Will they go to a lot of that? I don't have any idea. And I think that's one of the things that if you're the Titans, you have to prepare for, which is kind of different in a divisional matchup, especially a second game 3 weeks from the first, because this was an element that, I mean, listen, we all knew that Matt Ryan had no huddle and things like that, but you'd think that'd be at the end of the half, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, this became their bread and butter in the ball game, and it's really how they got after Jacksonville's very fierce pass rush.
Mike, if you don't mind me going back to the Titans Oilers homecoming, I have to ask you this question because you've been around it all. Is there one particular player that floors you when you see him in the history of this team?
Oh, there's several. Chris Johnson is one that I'm just thrilled. You know, Chris Johnson, to see him be as excited as he is to come in. You know, we all, when you play any sort of sport and you have an affinity for your team, when it's over years later, anything that was bad or disappointing goes away, and all you think of is the good. And that's the way it's become for CJ. You know, he has really leaned into the fact that he was a major part of this organization. He and Lundell White have become kind of the Pied Pipers of that era. They want all their dudes back. They want Bo Scaife back and all these guys that we knew during that era. And so you have that, and that's certainly exciting. I'm excited to meet Pastorini. I mean, he's part of the great 1971 quarterback draft class, and he was a name that was huge, and he's going to be one of the 12 Titans with Delaney Walker this weekend. So I think that's exciting as well. And meeting all of those Oiler greats over the years has been thrilling. You know, you saw Bethea play, and you saw Kenny Houston play, and you've seen Robert Brazil play, and you've seen them all get their gold jackets, and you're like, man, this is royalty. And so for us, and for me as just a football fan who was a nuts football fan as a kid in the 70s, I mean, this is like meeting movie stars or rock stars or however you want to term it.
And with that being said, there's a lot of excitement around this weekend, but you have the opportunity to go 2-0 against the Colts on this big weekend in front of all those legendary plays. How does Coach Vrabel keep this team locked in to get this goal?
I think the team has no problem with it. It's the goofballs like me who are going to be excited about other things. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. And you know, there is some pageantry surrounding it. Guys are going to show up at practice, and he makes a big deal out of that because he gets that this is an incredibly special fraternity that these men are in. And I'm talking about at all 32 NFL locations. I mean, if you did this for a living like you did, you're part of something very, very special. You played this sport at the world's highest level. This is the Olympics of this sport. This is really the Mount Olympus of this sport. And so to have done this and to have put on the pads and the helmet and gone out and competed, I mean, it's something incredibly special. And so Mike will certainly honor them. The players know the Colts. The Colts are a tough nut to crack. We got a lot of work to do to be able to beat them.
More so than ever, I think, when I look back at my time covering the Titans, which has only been, this is my 6th season, Mike, so not even nearly as much as you've been doing it. But when I've seen Derrick Henry really start to get it going, it's been after a few games. And we started to see it with him in the last 2 games before the bye. He's been successful against the Colts. Like, what is it about Derrick Henry that he starts to really get going in the big fall months of football?
Well, it's a great question, Kayla, and it really comes down to simple things that sometimes we don't think about, and that is, so we're into October, and it's going to be nice on Sunday, but when the weather gets colder, it's less fun to hit somebody. Mm-hmm. If you play football at any level, you know that as it gets colder, it is no fun to hit people. It's not a great deal of fun anyway to hit a big guy like that, but it just hurts. And the other part of it too, Kayla, is as the bumps and bruises mount throughout the season, suddenly you have guys who are not as physically able to do the same things. Maybe you've got a bruised hand or an injured arm or a shoulder that's aching. Well, then you've got to hit him again, and you're just not 100%. You need to be 100% to be able to really put it on Derrick Henry and get him on the ground. And that gets harder and harder to do. So you're right. As the season goes, he gets stronger because the elements get tougher and the opponents don't have their best stuff, like, say, the Giants had in week 1 or the Buffalo Bills had in week 2.
Talk about toughness. We were hearing from Todd Downing yesterday, and he mentioned just the toughness of Ryan Tannehill. And I asked Robert Woods about him yesterday too, and getting to know him, if he sees that. He said, absolutely. Maybe you don't see it. It's not talked about as much, but what's your take on that and just the toughness of Tannehill in situations?
That's why he has the locker room.
Yeah.
There's proof in the pudding. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The fellows know. And that's the number one thing you have to have as a quarterback, is you have to be able to prove to guys that you're tough, because if you're going to do what Tom Brady did last weekend on the sidelines, which some quarterbacks have to. Tannehill really doesn't do it, but if you're going to be that guy, you have to have the credibility of the toughness. And Ryan Tannehill 100% has the credibility of the toughness. There is a great respect. And for that reason, too, his teammates want to protect him.
Right.
They want to fight for him because they understand what he's willing to do to stand in there and make it happen. I mean, I go back to the game at Oakland in 2019. There were two plays. Maurice Hurst intercepted a pass on a tip, and Tannehill ran him down and flattened him.
Mm-hmm.
And people went, whoa. And that won the fellows a lot. And then the other thing that happened, too, he threw a 91-yard touchdown pass in that game, and he got clocked the minute he let it go. And he knew he was going to get it. He could see the guy coming, but he knew if I stand here for one more second, then Brown is going to get open, and this is going to be a 91-yard touchdown. And instead of throwing it early or throwing it away, which we all could have understood because, it's incomplete. He stood right there and got hit in the chops. It had to hurt, and he completed a 91-yard touchdown pass. That's just typical of what he's done since he's been the starting quarterback. And I think people take that for granted outside of this building. People inside this building do not.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith with us, brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Mike, since Mike Vrabel was hired in 2018, the Titans are the NFL's only undefeated team at 8-0 in regular season games with 9 or more rest days. What is Mike Vrabel and this coaching staff doing differently in order to have that much success off of rest like this?
Well, I think they're good coaches for one thing, and so when they get extra time to work on somebody, they're able to put it to good use. That's something that goes without saying. I think the other part too, and this is the strength of Vrabel as a former player, is he understands the issues that you're having physically at whatever time of the year the bye comes. His workload on his team just always feels incredibly appropriate. And I think he's in communication with not only his strength coach, Frank Perrino, and the man who runs all the, the sports medicine, what we used to call the head trainer, Todd Torricelli. But I think he talks to Ben Jones and guys of that sort of ilk on the team, and he can get a sense of where they are. I mean, he'll come out at some points during the course of the season, and a normal practice day becomes a modified walkthrough because he just gets where guys are. And I think that is the strength from, he doesn't like to talk about his playing days, but I think that's the part that he takes from his playing days that is probably the most effective thing he brings to being a head coach.
When you look at this team, as you say, you start looking at the health. One thing for sure is the young guys, whether it's Rashad Weaver or well as MPF, or it's the opportunity to get some guys back this year or this week, man. Who are we looking forward to stepping up to guide this team down the line, like a Chig or Kyle Phillips? Do you expect those guys to get bigger roles as this season continues on?
I do. I think you're going to see more of them. I think you're going to see some play for Hassan Haskins. I think you're going to see Chig Okonkwo. I do think you're going to see more Kyle Phillips as he gets healthier, which is, obviously a fantastic thing for this football team to be able to have that added depth. The other thing too is getting back Amani Hooker. Is a massive figure because last year when we had problems giving up the deep ball, Amani Hooker was out of the lineup with injury. We've had problems with big plays recently. Getting him back hopefully will help cure some of that. Getting Bud Dupree back to help rush the passer is a big deal. Sam Okawanu, I'm going to be fascinated to see what happens after the Washington experience for him. Should have blocked a punt in that game. Played good defense, set the edge well, had half a sack. Okawanu is a fascinating player because of his overall build. He doesn't make any sense. He doesn't fit into any category because he's barely over 6 feet tall and he weighs 275 pounds. But guess what? He's a football player. He has explosion. And they need fresh, healthy legs. They need an edge pass rusher. And, maybe they found something in Okawanu. So where does he go from here? fascinated to see.
I just want to ask a special teams question, Mike, because you know what? We got to add them. We got to give them some love.
Really?
No, but really, Ryan Stonehouse. And I know both Mike Vrabel and special teams coordinator Craig Aukerman said he didn't have his best game. But then again, you got to nitpick a lot of things. You know, Ryan Stonehouse is doing a really good job. I mean, how beneficial has it been to have this guy on the squad?
I mean, what do you say about a guy who's averaging, 54 yards a punt? And that's not a fluke. It's not like he hit a 40-yarder and it rolled another 40. I mean, he's been really outstanding to this point. He's learning the nuance, which was the part I worried about not having Brett Kern.
Mm-hmm.
Did I think this kid could probably kick it further than Kern now? Yes. But did I think he could do what Kern did and what Craig Hendrick did before him? And that is take advantage of field position situations. You know,
Yep.
kick it out of bounds, kick them deep, an angle kick so that you're in a position where you can cover it a certain way to pin a good returner against the sidelines. You know, just rearing back and kicking it doesn't work in the NFL. It just doesn't. And this young man has done a much better job of taking advantage of all of those sorts of things. Yes, he can flip the field, and his coverage has been excellent. The guys on kick coverage have done an excellent job. But, you know, right now you need to see him continue to develop the nuance to the situational punting, and I think that's coming. So that's been the revelation to me, is that he has taken the teaching that well and is doing that well early. The drop-off in that area from Kern to him has not been great, and that's a good thing.
Mike, on the way out, which bugs you more, the lack of respect for the Titans or people not understanding the tongue-in-cheek joke made by Tennessee football on their latest donation drive for new goalposts after the win against Alabama?
Okay, so I told this story on the OTP, so I got to come clean because I had a little bit of a rant on the OTP.
This is what I hear.
Troubling, I know. I kind of lost my mind. I was driving to Evansville, Indiana to speak to the quarterback club on Monday, and I'm listening to a national radio show, and there is a guy on there who literally comes on and says that because they tore the goalpost down at Neyland Stadium, and because they threw it in the river, they threw the goalpost in the river, that they might have to postpone this weekend's game against UT Martin.
Wow.
and that they were so desperate for goalposts, they were trying to raise money.
Wow.
To have the goalposts. And I'm like, I don't know where you watch college football, friend, but it's not in the South.
No.
Because A, we have traditions, B, we have goalposts, and C, when it comes to football, we have money.
Yeah.
This is serious business. I don't know how it is at wherever mini college it is you go and 6 people attend the games on Saturday. But I mean, the guy, hey, listen, I will admit, if he was joking, great bit.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the guy was not joking. He was 100% convinced that Tennessee was going to have to postpone their game with UT Martin unless they figured out the goalpost thing.
Well, we appreciate you bringing the rant here. It's a worthy cause for sure.
It's a sad deal for me that I can't do better than that. But I was like, I'm pounding the steering wheel.
I loved it.
Probably going 105 miles an hour at that point. Yeah. And I'm sure people were saying, "Oh, road rage guy right there."
Right?
I love it. Voice the Titans, Mike Keith with us. Brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Look to the folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans when you need someone who knows the health coverage game plan. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years. Good stuff as always, Mike. We appreciate the time.
Thanks very much.
All right,
Thanks, Mike.
the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, with us. Yeah,
That's great.
I loved that rant.
Such a pro.
Right? And even when he doesn't think he's a pro, it's still pro. Like, that's still a pro move right there, just going wild about somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about.
I love it.
You could hear the sigh of like,
Yeah,
okay,
right?
I'm gonna dust off the soapbox and stand up on it again. Here we go.
Talk about a
Freaking
guy
bum.
embarrassing you in the most professional ways. Like, are you an idiot?
I love
That's
it.
pretty much what he said.
Here for it. When we come back, our tailgate tip of the week, courtesy of our friends at Maryland Farms Wine and Spirits, a fall cocktail that you need in your life for a big fall football Saturday. And Ramon, I'm going to allow Tennessee fans today to celebrate a little bit from their Alabama win.
Are we still?
We're going to raise a glass
Okay.
during the
Are
Tennessee
we
Martin
actually
game.
going to raise a glass?
Metaphorically here today,
There's
and then
Becky.
literally perhaps later on this evening, perhaps, after some high school football for me personally. You guys can have at it about 10:01 a.m., I guess.
I might.
But we tell the
Right?
people where to get their cocktail. Coming up next, the tailgate tip of the week brought to you by Maryland Farms Wine and Spirits. When we come back, on about Kayla and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation, and you guys know I've been telling you the forecasters are predicting it's going to be a colder and maybe snowy winter this year. And if you can't tell, it's already there in a sense. I think it was snow in Western PA earlier this week, from what Schaefer told me. Pretty wild out here. But if you do need new windows, I'm telling you, Window Nation is the place to go, because you can get 2 windows free for every 2 you buy, and you will pay nothing until 2025. Again, that's no payments, and add to the fact that you'll be saving your home so much energy to where it's not escaping throughout your windows, and you're wondering, why is my energy bill this expensive? I got Christmas coming up. Well, let me tell you this. If you get Window Nation windows, you'll get 2 free for every 2 you buy. Yes, that means if you buy 2, you will get 2 free with no limit. All the windows in your house, get 2 free for every 2 that you buy, plus pay nothing until 2025. The number is 866-90-NATION, or you can visit the website at windownation.com. Again, the number 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com and tell them that Ramon sent you.
Coming up on the fourth and final hour of the week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you. On the phone lines at 615-737-1045. Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com coming up in the fourth hour at 9:15. Our cocktail of the week, the tailgate tip of the week, courtesy of Maryland Farms Wine and Spirits. We've got a fall spritz this week. Weather's a little bit colder.
Yeah.
Chill in the air.
Yeah.
They're going to have for you 1 can of Nashville hard cider, a white cranberry flavor, and then a splash of a cinnamon and clove liqueur by what I'm thinking is Tintura Antica.
Hey.
So is this like a burgundy color? Or
It is. It's like a dark orange.
Look at a burgundy color. Okay.
White cranberry hard cider, Nashville hard cider, and some cinnamon and clove liqueur. This sounds fantastic.
It's Ramon. Hey,
Hey, it's
bad.
Ramon.
Hey, Ramon.
My bad.
Hey, that's me.
What's up, Ramon?
Keep going. Ignore
That
the guy
is,
in the
I
box.
am him. I am the one who
He is the
knocked
one
right
that
there.
knocked.
Easy.
That's the drink I'll be having, Will.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good. The seltzers. You into the seltzers too?
I mean, there's not really like one particular thing I don't like. I always tell people I don't discriminate. Like I'll try,
there's a certain gin. Like gin's not my first.
that
go-to.
actually is the one that I'm not a huge fan of, is gin.
But I got this Hendrix Summer Solstice. It's so good. It's like a floral taste, like gin. That gin. Is
Drink
pretty
that while
good,
you watch
though.
90 Day Fiance.
And now
All
it's
the
no, it's
floral
actually
taste.
fall.
Pinky's up.
Yeah, pink. No, that one's good right there. Okay, throw some soda water in there. It's nice. Club soda.
There you go.
A1.
I hated vodka at first.
Did you?
I came around on it, but
Oh man,
I hated it.
shame.
Just
thought it was
depends on what
disgusting.
kind, too.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that same way about tequila too.
Well, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You've got to have the right tequila.
I love tequila.
Worst tequila you ever had? Do you ever?
Oh, just like a well.
A well,
You know, just if
yeah.
you're at the bar late night and you're said, give me a shot, and you just don't know what you're doing. And this was college. It's not like you
Yeah,
have the money
okay.
to spend on.
And because of that, that's the reason you
$40
were
shots
lacking
that-
like
yeah.
that. Yeah, okay,
There you
for
go.
sure. Yeah.
Maryland Farms Wine and Spirits, though, they have a unique selection of wine and spirits, local craft, hard to find brands that the big stores don't or won't carry. Mention the show. They'll have everything that you need every single week for our tailgate tip of the week. Fridays right here in Ramon, Kayla, and Will at 8:45. Their location is convenient, Williamson County, right off of Old Hickory, 101 Creekside Crossing in Brentwood. If you know where the Publix is, it is next door to that. They've got Senior Day on Wednesdays. They got special discounts. Every day they have the military discount, and every week they have got the cocktail of the week right here on the Zone, which this week is the Fall Spritz. So go get one. Raise a glass to Tennessee's win over Alabama as you watch homecoming. If you're a Vol, if you're not a Vol, A, I apologize to you for not having a top 3 team in college football, and B, I'm the
Pace
worst.
yourself.
I'm a menace to
Pace
society. I'm a
Yes,
menace to
you are,
society, and I don't
Will.
care. It's fine.
Go take a lap.
When we come back, I'm going to take a lap, be a little bit less of a menace to society for the fourth and final hour of the show. Quickly today.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon Foster looks at me like he is surprised
Yeah.
that it's 8:54 a.m. Central Standard Time.
I like Central Time.
But it is. Central Time is the Lord's time zone.
It is.
It's
Where
God's,
are you?
it's
You
God's
Pacific?
time zone.
But what do you mean, where am I?
It's the
I'm
Lord's
saying
time
I'm in
zone.
just in
every
general.
time zone,
no,
bro.
which one do you like most?
I
Because
don't
I
know.
hate Eastern.
I hate Eastern. There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, there we go.
This
I'm
one's
not
the
an
best
Eastern
one.
time zone person.
Hate Eastern.
The Lord's time zone. But in the Lord's time zone, it is the fourth quarter of the show.
What a transition.
Four's up.
Four's
I
up.
tell people that all the time. I also tell people that this show goes by quickly. And the next hour is up next on 104.5 The Zone.
I'm the captain now.
9:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The Niners are sending a second, third, and fourth round picks in 2023 and a fifth round pick in 2024 to the Carolina Panthers for star running back Christian McCaffrey. That was the big news in the NFL overnight. Titans linebackers Zach Cunningham and Joe Jones did not practice for the second straight day yesterday. Fullback Torrey Carter also did not participate. Nate Davis remained limited. However, Bud Dupree and Amani Hooker were a full go Thursday. Bright prospects for them to play on Sunday as the Colts come to Nissan Stadium. Kickoff set for noon. The Lee Company countdown to kickoff begins at 9 a.m. Thursday night football, a much higher scoring affair than what we've had recently. Cardinals 42, Saints 34. Saints quarterback Andy Dalton threw 2 pick sixes. Homecoming on Rocky Top tomorrow. UT Martin travels to number 3 Tennessee. Kickoff at 11 o'clock. Vol Network coverage begins at 9. The Preds surrendered 4 third-period goals and lost to the Blue Jackets in Columbus 5-3. Nashville is winless in its last 4 games. And the Astros edged the Yankees 3-2 to take a 2-0 lead in the ALCS.
And the 1-2.
Swing and a three-pointer from way downtown. It's good!
It was a 3-run homer, and the Astros held on to the lead for the win. For foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the danger continues for 60 more minutes on 104.5 The Zone. It's Friday, and we're acting like it on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster, a broadcast veteran, and the legendary Kayla Anderson. My name is Will Bowling, and the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, makes the show happen.
The best producer in the world!
We need a consistent introduction for Kayla at the beginning of every hour like this because I don't deserve an introduction. Jonathan Schaefer as best producer in the world. We've got the 11-year NFL vet. Kayla, I'm taking submissions on how I should introduce
the
you.
sassiest.
Oh.
Hey, there we go.
Most
The
knowledgeable.
sassiest sports talk radio host in the world.
Knowledgeable. The savviest.
Jonathan Schaefer, do you have any submissions?
Well, Will, you do have an introduction.
There's only one phenom.
Phenomenal. That's right. That's right.
Could you imagine Will introducing the show like the Phenom?
Hello, I'm the Phenom, Will Bowling.
Yeah,
it's great to have you.
It's the KA and the BNA.
I'm
Kayla
so
Anderson.
glad you talked over what I just said because now you can't grab it and go back and get it as a recording.
Oh, that'd
Well,
be
what did you
fun.
say?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really
dang
hard
it.
to say.
That's all right. I already got it 8:52. You saying I love tequila, so that's going in the open.
I figured that one
Yeah.
would, and that's okay
Yes.
because tequila's great, objectively awesome. Kind of like this show. I don't know. I remember the first time I went out with friends and they were like, let's get some kind of tequila. And they
First of all,
hated it.
are you old
first
enough
time
to
I went out
legally
with
drink?
friends. Shut up. Shut it. And they were like, oh yeah, tequila's kind of gross. And we got some kind of cheap tequila. And I was like, I kind of like it. I don't know.
Oh, Will.
I don't mind
You're
it.
that guy?
I like
Okay.
tequila.
All right, say less.
Any
Cheap
iteration of tequila.
That's what gets
It's
small.
not that bad.
I have one that's going to offend Kayla.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I'm the
great.
one that actually likes Jaeger bombs.
Do you really?
Well,
Never done Jaeger bomb before.
You haven't?
no, you're
Oh,
not
wow.
offending me, but I.
Oh, okay. I mean, I
What?
might have disappointed you, but
I'm
No,
not
we
mad,
did
I'm
a
just
lot of that at
disappointed.
Washington State. And then the last night of graduation, my parents came down and partied harder than I did. And we drank too many Jaeger bombs and never again.
Never again. So it's
Dad got sick.
Oh, for real? It's the overdoing it that got you.
And then him getting sick just made me say, I'm done.
Ramon, what was the college bar of choice at UT when you were there?
College bar of choice, RT's, Red Iguana.
Never heard of any of these
Hannah's.
places. Okay, Hannah's is still there.
Yeah, Hannah's still there. RT's in the old.
I got you going last time we had this conversation because I
Yeah.
brought up Sawyer's Chicken Tenders.
Yeah, the Malibu.
That
We
one,
had
again, over my head.
Shakers. Yeah, the Malibu would go over your head. There's no way you was going there, Will.
Oh, really?
No,
way I was going there?
No
Why is
way
that?
you were. No, Will,
Why?
trust me, you weren't going to go.
Oh, okay.
You weren't going.
You going to explain why?
Because it was in the hood.
Okay.
Yeah, you weren't going to go. I didn't say that in the way
It's
of
fine.
like we would have dragged you to it. Like, Will, you're going to the Malibu.
fine.
It'd have been like that. I saw a girl get beat up
Could
in there
I
one
go?
time.
Oh,
Yeah, you
whoa.
go. You 100% go.
Okay.
All right.
So-
well, easy.
Saw a girl get beat up one time in there one time, man, just out of nowhere. She gets up off the ground and she instantly has like the knot on her head. I'm like, oh my God.
Kind of got dark
Like the
quickly.
cartoon knot. No, she's fine now. But
Have you checked up on her last 15 years?
but I'm sure the cartoon knot is gone. You'd have gone, Kayla. Me knowing you now,
Yeah.
you'd have definitely rolled in there for sure.
You
100%.
would not have thought that before, though.
No,
Thanks-
I didn't.
thanks for
And
the
I told
friendship.
you that.
Thank you for your friendship. I really appreciate it. Oh, it's fine.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
No, do not judge a book by its
I
cover.
hate seeing Jonathan Schaefer writing things in the studio because it means that we're going to hear this audio later.
You get
That's
to the
fine.
middle side of the
Thank
type
you
of the
for-
book, and you're
Sorry,
like,
I annoyed
okay.
you with my friendship.
No, your friendship
It's the
is
Andy Bernard quote
appreciation.
that I use all the time.
Appreciate it. But what I'm telling you is this: like, no, you'd have stayed on the strip. We'd have gone off campus.
It's fine.
Kayla would have gone off campus.
Cool Beans was
Right.
still there though when you were there.
Yeah, it was.
Cool Beans is the place to go. In
I've
Yeah.
heard that is the place.
It is absolutely the place.
Sounds cool.
It's a place.
Cool Beans
sounds cool.
Cool Beans Bushwhackers
place.
sounds fantastic anytime the weather is above like 80 degrees.
Yeah,
They're Bushwhackers.
I'm a fan of those.
Very good.
Okay. Where'd you mostly party at though?
There and Hannah's were kind of the two for us.
There and
The
Hannah.
place we went, not like a party spot, but the
Yeah.
bar that we went to in the old city was called Pour.
Poor.
So it was a
Never even heard of that.
self-serve tap room
Oh, that's
where
cool.
you go up to it and you get a wristband. And the wristband has a little sensor on it, and there's 40 to 50 different beers like on a wall. And you go up and you put the wristband like around your glass, and you hold up the glass to the wall, and then you pour your own beer.
I'm sure there's one of those places somewhere in East Nashville.
Probably.
Definitely.
It's
Yeah.
a
Sounds
chain.
like an East Nashville
it's a chain. There's
establishment.
not many of them, but I think there might be one in Birmingham.
While
I wanna
people sit there and
say.
twirl their mustaches with wax.
Do they have that with like hard liquor? That'd be my thing.
They do. So they
Just have
would have a
This is why I
seasonal
love
one.
Kayla. We're in it to win it, Kay.
They would have a seasonal one.
That's it right there.
Where,
Okay.
like,
Why play
went,
around?
Kayla, I went on Cinco de Mayo and they had one with they had like a margarita one. Where you
Okay.
could go up and like pour like a marg. They had wine.
A marg?
Too. Yeah, marg. So you
Did,
call
did
it.
you just call it a mark?
That's what people call it that are
Oh,
12?
he's
Say it.
putting
Go
us all
ahead.
down right now. He's putting every one of us down.
I stopped
No,
myself
go ahead
right
with
there.
with the H's stuff. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
that's what people call it. It's a marg.
That is
I
what no
never-
one calls it.
No,
Nobody.
Never heard
No
it called
one.
a
Schaefer,
marg.
buddy, I'm making you younger. I'm making you younger and cooler.
Who's
It's
called
okay. You
a
can take me
margarita?
later.
Oh, you making me younger and cooler.
That's
First of
right.
all, I'm not cool. I've never been cool. Second of all, for you to
Well,
suggest
now's the time.
yourself that you're cool is maybe the biggest lie we've had in this show's history.
I don't know.
What? I've never heard it called a
Wearing
marg.
sunglasses, being cool inside the other day was a pretty big lie.
Now
we
you're
told.
deflecting. Now you're deflecting.
Now you're pulling a Ramon and you're deflecting.
You're deflecting now. You're pulling the me.
I'm just trying to think of
He is.
other lies we've
He is
told.
pulling
Yeah, now I'm waiting for the Buck joke that you always pull out.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'm good. Buck knows they're called margs. Buck would be in my corner on this.
Margs?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Kayla.
Kayla,
Is
you've
it-
heard of this
This is
before.
offensive.
Is it a marg?
No.
It is. It's fine. I'll die on this hill.
And then
You know
you'll roll
what?
down it.
909.
Decompose.
Sorry I annoyed you with my friendship. I really appreciate it. 615-737-1045 if you want to come in and defend me. If not, then maybe just listen to a podcast.
This is
Mikey
the
is-
most phone calls we've had all day, and they're all going to call you and
This
tell you
is
you're
great.
an idiot.
It's fine. Mikey in Lebanon. Calling in to talk Vols. Good morning, Mikey. Mikey, what's up?
He's probably getting a marg.
And goodbye, Mikey. Okay.
I have my buddy John text me say I've heard of a Rita. It'd be called a Rita, never
Yeah.
a marg though.
It's fine. I'm okay with either one. Look, I don't know why this is a big deal.
It's not. Everybody just paused because it's not a marg.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
You need more people like me in your life.
Everybody messes up. Of course, Zach, the Colts fan, will say Will is correct.
Yeah, he's right.
Oh, you're a Colts fan
1045
now?
The Zone TV is where you can join us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch.
Rob, make fun of Will.
We've got
It's-
Rob on line 2 who's calling in. Good morning, Rob.
Hey, big man, I am so jelly of your rad comment about Mar. Oh man, you better than that. We're gonna turn your balls card if you
Rob,
come up with another one, and you gotta turn your card in. Ramon, take it away from me.
I promise you, I'm really not better than that. If you assume I'm better than that, then I really don't think you know me very well. If you think I'm better than that.
Kayla's done
Sorry,
now.
this is what I needed in the final hour.
That's fine.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I'm fine.
Rita, I'm definitely on the Ritas. Yeah.
I think they actually brand some of the things as that.
Yeah, as Ritas.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of things I'm ready for you to roast me on. This is not one that I would have expected.
Because you dropped that so well. You're just like, I'm
Yeah,
all
like
right.
sometimes like I'll say things and know like I'm going to say this just to jab them a little bit because you know that I'm going to get roasted for it. This one I shouldn't be roasted for because I'm right.
You're getting killed in the chat.
No, it's okay. I don't care.
Absolutely right
I'm
now.
crying over here.
Much like Jameis Winston's career, you're getting killed. You're dying.
Except I do not have a broken vertebrae, 4 different places in my back. Thank God.
Show ain't over yet.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Taking shots.
Tacos and Ritas.
Marg.
Let's try Mikey in Lebanon again on the phone lines. Good morning, Mikey.
Morning, Mikey.
Morning, guys. How are y'all doing?
Hey, we're good.
Good morning.
It's beautiful Friday. You know, you got a 4-day weekend ahead of me. You got a bachelor's party. We're heading to Knoxville this weekend. And so I was just asking if you guys had like a tailgate spot we could go to so we can hang out and like tailgate because never tailgated in Knoxville. Been to several games, but never tailgated.
Will, what's the best spot to go to?
I love it. Thank you, Mikey. So if you go early enough, Fieldhouse Social, no free shout-outs. Fieldhouse Social is a great place to go. That's not a tailgate spot as much as it is just like a good bar, first and foremost. You can also park there for a little while. Not super difficult to park there. Great spot. If you're looking for a tailgate to go to, I would walk along, go to the Torchbearer by Circle Park and walk that loop and go all the way around by pedestrian walkway by that bridge. And
in front of the
that
stadium.
loop, there's just people sitting there. That was our tailgate spot when I was growing up.
Okay.
There and at the Ag campus were the two that we, like that's where we grew up going for when we tailgated. And then over by the athletic complex by McClung Museum. Special shout out to McClung Museum. Everyone who was a freshman had classes there at some point.
Yeah.
There's a T-Rex fossil in front of McClung Museum on the hill across from Stokely. Good tailgates there too. So just walk around. A couple of comments on Twitter before we get to one last call before we go to break. Jacob on Twitter says, Will Bowling isn't crazy.
I knew he was going to do that.
The rest of y'all showing your age.
I know it.
But I'm going to roast myself here a little bit too. Women age 21-35 all say marks. Yeah.
No
Suzanne
way.
is on the phone lines, hopefully to defend me. Good morning, Suzanne.
Morning, Suzanne.
Hey, y'all. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, man. I'm showing my age here, but I was a waitress back in the day, and Marg was the short term we used when writing up an order for a margarita. So, hey.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Wow.
You blessed Will Hart right there. No,
Will is feeling good
absolutely
now.
not.
Yeah, he's feeling
Suzanne,
good.
you can call in anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Got to give y'all the love you deserve.
Oh,
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne. She blessed your heart, though.
You know, it really is hard always being right. You know,
Okay.
it's fun, but
Walk back.
Straight up.
Walk it back.
We love Suzanne, but Suzanne blessed your heart right there, man.
Suzanne is a waitress.
Yeah,
So to her
was.
defense, you know, she does know what people say
Yeah.
and use as waitresses.
Yeah.
And when you're a waitress, you write down kind of just a little bit of what it actually is
Partially.
because you don't have time to put down the whole thing.
Like autographs.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a point.
This is the angriest Kayla has been at me.
You
About
giving
a
up point?
margarita.
You giving up a point?
Well, because it was Suzanne.
Yeah.
You giving
Suzanne's right. I'm not right. Suzanne's right.
Mm-hmm.
Look
Anyway.
at that. And he's usually fast on the clock and everything just to be right.
Oh, we're taking time
just
today.
to be right.
Coming up next,
I don't
Jim
care.
Wyatt,
That was a good laugh.
TennesseeTitans.com joins us. The headlines going into Titans Colts, the matchup problems for the Titans against Indy, in the battle of two running backs that was heavily favored in the direction of the Tennessee Titans in Lucas Oil Stadium. But how much more motivated is Jonathan Taylor to get one back? on Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. We talk with Jim Wyatt, the OG of Titans coverage, TennesseeTitans.com. Coming up next on 104.5 The Zone. Go to break! It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
He did that. I love it.
I'm getting roasted for saying that margaritas can be called margs.
Yeah, it's not called Margville. It's not Margville.
That's okay.
It's Margaritaville.
Jimmy Buffett, not a young man.
But he knows what it really is.
Exactly.
He's rich AF, though.
That's fine.
Ooh, that makes me want to go to the beach.
Yeah,
it's a beach trip right now.
It's been below freezing every day we've gotten to work this week. This warms me up a little bit.
Come on, Shay.
Jonathan Shea for making the show happen. Ramon Foster. Kayla Anderson and Will Bowling with you.
So
we go to the Mark Spade Real Estate Hotline. That's Jonathan Schaefer. Blast Jimmy Buffett.
To blame. It's Will's fault.
From one Jimmy to another, Jimmy Wyatt joins us, TennesseeTitans.com. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Morning, Jim.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Hi, Jimmy.
We are great, and looking forward to Oilers and Titans alumni weekend this weekend. Obviously, Delaney Walker retiring as a Titan earlier this week. Been a big week. The stadium news, tons of headlines for the Titans this week. Can you remember a week with this much going on, Jim, in recent memory for the Titans?
Definitely a lot going on, and I just put out the list of all the guys that are scheduled to be here, and it's over 130, and it's cool. This is the first time that the Oilers and Titans have been able to do it together. Last year there was an Oilers weekend, and then and then I think there was a Titans weekend, later in the season. That's when Bum Phillips was put into the Ring of Honor during the Oilers weekend last year. But it's a great list. I mean, you've got former Titans. Some Titans greats scheduled to be here. Some Oilers from, way back in the day that are scheduled to be back in town. They get all mingled together, coming in town on Friday night. We've got an event Friday, event Saturday, something before the game on Sunday, and then they're going to be recognized as a big group at halftime of the Titans-Colts game. So should really be cool. And, I know it's neat for Amy Adams Strunk to keep these guys, let them have a home, a place where they can be celebrated. I know it means a lot to them. I've talked to a lot of former Oilers that talk about how much it means to them to be able to come into town and be recognized. And it means a lot of these Titans who, a lot of them, it's crazy how time flies. I mean, Brad Hopkins, for one, played for this franchise. He's coming back. Now he's got a son who just won a Super Bowl last year with the Rams, and a lot of other guys who have seen kids grow up in the city. So it's this will be a neat weekend.
Certainly is, and a big opportunity for the Titans to really take that big lead in the AFC South as well. How different is this Colts team in your eyes versus the one the Titans beat up in Indianapolis a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it's a lot different, and it makes it hard to know exactly what to expect on Sunday, because they went from a team that you knew was going to turn around and hand the ball, again and again and again to Jonathan Taylor, and now they're a team that has been thrown at a lot. I think 51 passes from Matt Ryan last week, and he's getting the ball out, quick passes. Does that continue? I don't think so. I mean, I think once Taylor's back and once Nyheim Hines are back, I think they revert back to what they did before. But, you still got to stress the same things on defense. You got to tackle well. You've got to get your hands up and knock some of those quick passes down to the line of scrimmage. And you've got to play 4 quarters, and that's one thing the Colts have done. You got to give them credit. I think when the Titans left there, back in week 4, people looked at their schedule and thought, okay, there's a chance these guys could be close to being buried by the time they get to the Titans. And Titans could kind of put the death knell on them. That hasn't happened. They've come back to win a couple of games late. Titans have not been a real good second half team, so they're going to have to play well, all the way through and try to find a way to win this game.
Jim, one thing that has to happen this weekend is both O-lines have to play well. The Titans have their issues, and the Colts have had theirs too. Do you view this matchup as a battle of who owns the line of scrimmage best?
I do, and I do agree that that's on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think, and the Titans, I think, won up front in week 1, and that's why Taylor managed, I think, 42 yards on 20 carries. That's why Danico Autry was able to be disruptive like he usually is against the Colts, and that's why they were able to get so much penetration and disrupt some of the things Matt Ryan wanted to do early. I think on the flip side, Titans have been giving up a lot of pressures. I know that Tannehill's only been sacked 12 times, but he has been pressured a lot. And certainly that game in Washington, he got hit a bunch. I think 13 was the last quarterback count. That was before they looked at film, and maybe it was more than that. But that's got to be better, certainly. And you hope to get Nate Davis back. That would be a part of it. Left tackle is going to have to play better. I just think consistently up front, they've got to be able to control some of the big guys for the Colts, starting with DeForest Buckner.
With that being said, so there's a guy that's here on Alumni Weekend that used to play for the Colts too, and that's Danico. Is he carving out a role for himself to be remembered long-term as a Tennessee Titan?
I think so. I mean, Danico is kind of a man of few words, but you can tell when it's Colts week that this means more to him. I think it means a lot because he knew that the Colts had a chance to re-sign him, and they didn't. And he knows how much John Robinson and Mike Vrabel wanted him here. And when he first got here, he just talked about how good it felt to be wanted. And now, when he gets a chance to play against his old team, it's kind of a, hey, remember me type deal. And he had a great career with the Raiders. He did some great things with the Colts. The Titans being able to get him out of there not only weakened their team, but made their team better. And, he seems like an old soul, and you watch him, it seems like he's, been around forever, and he hasn't been around for a long time. But I think he's got a chance to just keep on playing after this year and for years to come, and will be remembered as a great Titan if he can continue to be productive like he has.
Yeah, speaking of guys like Danico Autry, Jimmy, you and I were over there watching practice yesterday over by the D-line. Felt like Jeffrey Simmons was bringing it to another level with energy yesterday. He was pretty hyped up. But just how big is it when those guys are all able to be healthy, getting Bud back this week as well, probably?
Yeah. I think Jeffrey kind of light the fire under all those guys on that side of the football, and especially the defensive lineman. I got a kick out of him yesterday. He seemed like he was impressing himself with some of his reps. He just fled and was marveling at his own work. But when you're that good, I guess you can do that. It's key. I mean, we all know that this pass rush and some of the guys that they've had that they wanted to get after the quarterback have just not been available, a good part of the season. Bud Dupree's one of them. We won't see Harold Landry this year. Unfortunately, Ola Daney has not been available a good part of the year. So they've had to make do with what they've got. And, Dupree is one of those game changers. Certainly, he gets after it, hopefully, with the week off, the hip injury that has really slowed him down will be behind him. What's unfortunate about that, he's had a couple of games where, he's aggravated it early and been active, and then they've had to really be under the gun and thin at that spot because they just didn't have a lot of players. So hopefully he looks good. I mean, I've been around, watching Bud in practices. I mean, I think on Wednesday I was watching him, and he knocked his position coach Ryan Crow back, and he did a backflip. He knocked him on the ground, and then the next day I watched him, hit with the tackling drill, and he tackled the dummy and actually punched the dummy. I think he get called for a flag. And again, that happened, but he seems intense and ready to go, and that's a big plus.
I think we keep asking this question, and it's game by game. It's figuring things out with this offense in terms of the weapons for Tannehill besides Derrick Henry. What is going on with the Austin Hooper and maybe not seeing him as much as we thought we might see him? Do you see that progressing, or do you think that maybe that's just not a thing?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a good answer, because I have to admit I've been a little surprised myself he hasn't been more involved, and why that has been hard for me to give a great answer. I remember back in training camp watching him catch so many passes and watching him spend an extra time with Ryan Tannehill. I remember at the start of camp, I knew I was around the conversation when people were talking about who would lead the team in receptions this year, and Austin Hooper was a popular pick.
Yeah.
It just hasn't transpired for one reason or another, and it seems like Chigakonkwo is the guy who is emerging at that position and is likely going to be targeted more. And I think he should be because he is a dynamic player with the ball in his hands, and I think he's getting more comfortable. So what that means for Austin Hooper, I don't know. I mean, I know he continues to work hard. I know he certainly wants to do more, but when that happens, I guess that kind of remains to be seen. And I think another guy to kind of keep an eye on moving forward who's kind of been quiet of late is Kyle Phillips. We saw him do so much during camp and in those practices against the Buccaneers and the Cardinals, and he's been kind of invisible of late, and that's because of a shoulder injury. I think he looks better to me, and it seems like I don't know if that shoulder will ever be right this year, but I think he's at a much better place than he was a month ago, and I think that means he could be more of a factor moving forward.
Jim Wyatt with us, TennesseeTitans.com on 104.5 The Zone. Jim, we heard from a rejuvenated Caleb Farley talking in the locker room to media earlier this week. What do you expect to see from him coming out of the bye week and the chance for him to kind of reset a little bit after a few frustrating weeks?
Yeah, and I one thing about Caleb, I'd never questioned his attitude or his commitment or his wanting to do better. But, the reality is he's just going to have to be better. And how, when that happens, that's another one we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know how much he's going to be in the mix moving forward. I mean, Roger McCreary is going to play. I mean, Christian Fulton's going to play. We'll see what the team kind of has up its sleeve as far as what they do, at some of those situational DB packages that they have. And if he's in the mix on some of those, he's just going to have to play with better footwork and be able to find balls in the air and being able to just clean up on a lot of things. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of football. And it seems like when I say that, I'm making an excuse for him, and I'm not trying to, because I think he would be the first to tell you he's got to be better. But I really like the kid. I think he, is a really respectful, hardworking guy who wants to be good. But, so far it just hasn't been good enough. And until it is, I just don't know how many he's just not going to get a ton of opportunities unless they have to give them to him. So we'll just kind of see how things transpire there over the course of the next several weeks.
Jim, no Ugo Amadi against Washington as he works his way back from injury, inactive in that game. Were you surprised to not see him up for that one? And do we see him in a more prominent role again as this team's nickel that might allow Roger McCreary to play a little bit more of outside corner?
I was a little bit surprised just because, they brought him in here because they liked him and we saw him early, and I know he was dealing with the ankle himself, and, it appeared that he was healthy and it was just a no-go. I don't know. Unfortunately, I get to watch practice.
Sure.
I can't really say positively one way or the other because I can't tip hand or they wouldn't let me watch practice. But I don't know that I would expect to see that this weekend.
In a world of passing the ball as much as we have, the Titans always go away from that. The way the Colts have been getting the ball out in the passing game kind of suggests they will. Do you worry as far as the Titans go with them keeping up with the passing game of teams they're going to see down the line now?
Well, it's a challenge. You're right, Ramon, because, you're going to face some teams that can throw it. And, I think Titans are going to have to do more from a passing game standpoint. And a lot of that depends on protection and what they're able to do. I was looking through, some, kind of prepping for my 6 things to watch this week. And I was looking at some numbers on Ryan Tannehill and his passes downfield. And if I can pull up this stat real quick, I thought it was somewhat, interesting, and I'm under the gun. Oh, okay, here it is. With Tannehill has 36 downfield pass attempts, just 10 yards 10 air yards, and that's the fewest among all quarterbacks with 100 pass attempts in 2022. So part of whether they're going to be able to throw the ball downfield more, which would in turn open things up for Derrick Henry, again, goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is their ability to protect him and give him time to throw. I think the Titans are going to have to be more formidable throwing the football. And can they do that while waiting for Traylon Burks to come back from his toe injury, which isn't going to be until, November the 13th at the earliest. We'll see. But I do think that that's going to have to be an area where they have to be better, certainly, because other teams coming up on the schedule are going to be better.
Quite the dominant, really, performance just by the Titans in the last few years when it comes to dealing with the Colts. You ever surprised by that and just the switch that happened, really, when Andrew Luck left?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't long ago when, I remember watching the 2019 draft and Pat McAfee, kind of cracking jokes about how people didn't know who he was in Nashville because he never punted against the Titans. And Reggie Wayne, offered a pretty good couple of one-liners there as well. And I don't know whether it was Andrew Luck retiring or them kind of jinxing it for the Colts. The Colts have lost, Titans have won, 4 in a row in this series. They've won 5 of the last 6 since that 2019 draft. And, yeah, I am surprised because it was such a long stretch. I mean, where the Titans lost to the Colts, and they lost to the Colts a lot of those times, and the Colts weren't great. I mean, they were losing to some bad Colts teams back then. So, yeah, it is interesting how that has switched, and it is kind of funny how much it bothers folks in Indianapolis, including the owners. So, the Titans have got to keep the upper hand. I mean, that's what's most important. I think these two teams are the best teams in the AFC South. I'm not willing to completely dismiss the Jaguars yet because I still think they've played tough. They had that game won on Sunday and let it slip away. They lost to a good Eagles team the week before that. They kicked the Colts' butts in week 1. So I'm not ready to dismiss them yet, but I think the Titans and the Colts are the best two teams in the AFC South, and your best way to win this division is to sweep them every year. And the Titans got a chance to do it again, and it's been a nice switch.
Jim Wyatt has been our guest at J Wyatt Sports on Twitter, covering the Titans for TennesseeTitans.com. Jim, always appreciate the time.
Okay, you guys have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
There's Jimmy Wyatt with us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. When we come back, some breaking college football news that pertains to the scheduling of a 12-team college football playoff. Some good news that I love, that I needed to see in the new playoff, and some bad news about the timing of when an expanded playoff will be played in the world of college football. That's next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. One final segment of the week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The song doesn't have the same vibe to me now that baseball's kind of over for the two teams that this song was related to, but it's still a banger.
Look at this over here.
I know.
He's even playing the trumpet.
I never met a
He's
person
got a marg
so
in his right
petty.
hand, a trumpet in his
Pretty
left.
soon.
A marg.
Pretty
I'm just saying what he'd say.
soon.
I'm just
I
saying
won't be
what he
drinking a marg
says.
I'll have Marg tomorrow.
Oh, marg.
No UT show tomorrow, so
Hey.
Right.
wake
12
up and
o'clock
watch the
game.
Vols at 11.
And have a margarita.
Have a little fall spritz, courtesy of Maryland Farmers Wine and Spirits.
Or that.
SEC Network, right?
Somebody even in the YouTube chat said Will's going to have y'all drinking White Claws at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah. I'll never touch
mess,
a White Claw.
I don't mess with White Claws.
I've had a White Claw
I will
before.
White
never.
Claw's fine.
Yeah, White Claw.
No.
That's something in my house. I hadn't drank them.
I'm not a White Claw
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, if you're out at a social event and you don't really want to drink, you have a White
Now,
Claw.
if I'm going to do that, then ranch water. That's the way to go. Ranch water's the
Never
best.
had it.
What's ranch water?
Ranch water again. I think this is a drink for
Sounds like a bad
Toddlers.
for toddlers.
No, they had it at the alumni table when we were out at
ranch
Knoxville.
It's tequila water.
Right.
Well,
Again,
in that
I like
way,
tequila.
Cut water is way better than.
I hate cut water.
Are you serious?
I do.
You're dead to me.
It tastes awful.
What's that? I don't know.
Cut
It's like a
water is
brand
awesome.
of ranch water and a brand
Okay.
of like vodka sodas that are like in cans.
It's canned
Those aren't
margaritas.
very good.
Canned margaritas.
I don't like anything
Canned
canned.
margs.
Like, if you're going to do it, I
I
want
agree.
it fresh.
Well, I had it at a San Diego game before they actually took off. Like
Okay.
they were serving them in the stadium. I was like, man, they should sell these everywhere. A year
And
later,
they do.
They were everywhere.
they're everywhere.
Interesting.
I think it was like 8% alcohol or something.
Wow.
Crazy, yeah.
Before we get to the Toyota keys to the game, a little bit of breaking college football news, courtesy of Ross Dellinger of SI.com. Says Thursday's college football playoff expansion meeting highlighted a growing issue, the NFL's encroachment on college football. Executives are fed up, he says. It's the NFL versus the CFP. You're trying to minimize all the way the NFL will, what's the word I can replace with the word he actually used?
Oh.
The NFL will hurt you. Officials zeroing in on playoff dates for 2024 and 2025. First round of college football playoff will be played Friday, Saturday on the third week of December. You'd have multiple games going head to head with NFL Saturday games, which is extremely problematic. Quarterfinals, 3 games on New Year's Day, 1 game New Year's Eve or day after New Year's Day. Semifinals, potentially the Thursday, Friday before NFL wildcard weekend. Ugh.
What?
Wow.
Not great. Essentially, what you have now is the opportunity to say, let's not do all that. Let's move the week 0 up to a week before and move week 1 to where week 0 is now and start the week before Labor Day.
Yeah.
And that way you're playing semifinals where they are currently played on New Year's weekend. And then you're on the same exact schedule. Move the schedule up. Do not just make it more crowded against the NFL. That is
agree.
a terrible idea.
I'd
Terrible
almost say
idea.
this too. If they did that, I feel like college football wins those ratings.
I don't know.
It depends on the matchups.
Because
probably, too.
like Tennessee,
Is this
Alabama,
playoff football then?
Tennessee, Alabama did a 25.8 in Nashville, which is about equivalent of what a Titans game does. It's a little bit more this year so far than what a Titans
College
game has
football
done.
nationally still pales in comparison to the NFL.
Correct. I'm saying that even in the South, in Nashville, with how good the Vols are, it still is just even with the Titans.
Okay.
But a playoff Titans game, and you get crunch time Titans games, you're talking about a 40 in television ratings.
All right, for sure. Teach me then, Will.
Well, no, I'm not.
You just did.
He did. He taught me something right there. As bad as games been this
I
year.
didn't mean for it to come
that's
across
what-
like that.
Yeah.
No. As bad as NFL games
NFL
have been
games,
this
yeah.
year,
That-
that's
that-
the
and
only reason
that
I
is
say
fair.
like a playoff college game would do more for me, I feel like.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Keys to the game brought to you by our Middle Tennessee Toyota dealers. Ramon Foster, a keys to a Titans win, please.
Same as I brought up with Jim Wyatt. Whoever's offensive line plays best will win this game. And I'm looking for this Titans team to play best. If Nate is back, if we're seeing a better Dennis Daly, if we're seeing Aaron Brewer do his thing, then we're on to something. That, to me, is control the line of scrimmage because, as KK said a second ago, Jeff is out here admiring his own work on Thursdays.
I don't hate him for it, man.
Yeah, no, it's line of scrimmage for me. Has to be important. And that ain't low-hanging fruit with me. That is actually the most important part of this game.
Yeah, and I think what running off of that is just you have to continue to shut down Jonathan Taylor. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
We're expecting him to be back. The Titans have done an excellent job of not letting Jonathan Taylor do anything. When they play the Colts, you have to continue to do that in this matchup.
Make someone other than Pittman or Taylor beat you on offense, and you're going to win again just like you did last time.
Yeah.
You quieted Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
You shut down Jonathan Taylor. You won the football game. Do that again, and you'll win this football game.
I'm with that.
That's simple.
Yeah. And score points in the fourth quarter.
That'd be fun.
Hey,
I would enjoy
that'd be new.
Keys to the game brought to you by Toyota, your Middle Tennessee Toyota dealers. And we leave you on a Friday edition.
Yeah!
Oh, you know what that music means. It is Macho Man
baby.
Todd Titan. Leaving you on a Friday morning and leaving the Colts with a little bit of a black eye because he's ready to talk that talk today. Take it away, Todd Titan. We will talk to you Monday morning.
Oh, yeah. It seems like just the other day we were driving up the road to beat Indianapolis right in their backyard. And on Sunday at Nissan Stadium, history finds a way to repeat itself because Indianapolis don't. Yeah, you do not own the AFC South, yeah. And we're doing a little cleaning on Sunday, and I'm bringing out the broom to sweep you right out of the division because you are stuck in a time loop, Indianapolis, yeah. And you are going to be the next victim in the Titans win streak. You are the team that no one else wants to be, and that's the next one up for the Tennessee Titans. We own the South. Who run it? We run it. It's time to tighten up. Dig it!